Breaking Mental Barriers to Achievement. Transform Limiting Beliefs into Unstoppable Success. By T.M. Light. Description: Breaking Mental Barriers to Achievement, Transform Limiting Beliefs into Unstoppable Success is a powerful self-development guide designed to help readers overcome fear, self-doubt, procrastination, and negative thinking. This motivational ebook explores the psychology of success, mindset transformation, emotional resilience, confidence building, and personal growth. Through practical strategies and inspiring insights, readers will learn how to rewire their minds for success, eliminate limiting beliefs, develop unstoppable habits, and create a clear vision for extraordinary achievement. Perfect for anyone seeking motivation, mental toughness, self-confidence, and lasting success, this book empowers readers to unlock their full potential and transform their lives from the inside out. Chapter Outline. Introduction: Why Your Mindset Determines Your Destiny. Chapter 1. Understanding the Mental Barriers Holding You Back. Chapter 2. The Origins of Limiting Beliefs. Chapter 3. Rewiring the Mind for Success. Chapter 4. Overcoming Fear and Self-Doubt. Chapter 5. Developing an Unstoppable Success Mindset. Chapter 6. Eliminating Negative Habits and Toxic Influences. Chapter 7. Building Confidence Through Action. Chapter 8. Turning Failure into Fuel for Growth. Chapter 9. Creating a Vision for Extraordinary Achievement. Chapter 10. Becoming Mentally Unstoppable. Conclusion. Introduction: Why Your Mindset Determines Your Destiny. Every great achievement begins in the mind, before it ever becomes reality. Long before success is visible to the world, it is first created through thoughts, beliefs, decisions, and the courage to think differently. The life you are living today is, in many ways, a reflection of the mindset you have carried over the years. Your thoughts influence your actions shape your habits, and your habits ultimately determine your destiny. Whether you realize it or not, the mind acts as the control center for every result you experience in life. Many people spend years believing that success is reserved for a lucky few. They convince themselves that extraordinary achievement belongs only to those born with special talents, wealth, intelligence, or powerful connections. However, history repeatedly proves otherwise. Some of the most successful people in the world began with disadvantages, rejection, fear, failure, and uncertainty. What separated them from others was not merely talent or opportunity. It was their mindset. They learned how to break through the invisible mental barriers that keep most people trapped in fear, doubt, and limitation. Mental barriers are dangerous because they often go unnoticed. Unlike physical obstacles, they cannot be seen with the eyes, yet they silently control decisions, confidence, ambition, and behavior. These barriers show up as thoughts like, "I am not good enough," "Success is for other people, I will probably fail," or "I could never achieve something great." Over time, these thoughts become deeply rooted beliefs. Eventually, people stop trying, stop dreaming, and settle for less than they are capable of becoming. One of the greatest tragedies in life is not failure itself, but living beneath your true potential because of beliefs that were never true in the first place. Many people are imprisoned not by reality, but by the limitations they have accepted in their minds. They underestimate their abilities, fear judgment, and avoid opportunities because they have unconsciously trained themselves to expect disappointment. The truth is that most limitations are learned, not permanent. What has been learned can also be unlearned. Limiting beliefs are formed in many ways. Some begin in childhood through negative experiences, criticism, rejection, or unhealthy environments. A child who constantly hears words of doubt may grow into an adult who questions their worth. Others develop limiting beliefs through painful failures, heartbreaks, disappointments, or embarrassing moments that leave emotional scars. Society also plays a major role by teaching people what they supposedly can or cannot become based on their background, age, gender, education, or circumstances. Over time, these experiences create internal stories that shape identity and expectations. Fear strengthens these beliefs even further. Fear of failure causes people to avoid taking risks. Fear of rejection prevents them from expressing their ideas. Fear of success makes them uncomfortable with growth and visibility. Self-doubt becomes a prison that keeps them trapped in hesitation while life passes by. Eventually, many people begin to believe they are simply incapable of achieving greatness. Yet this could not be further from the truth. The human mind is incredibly powerful and adaptable. Modern psychology and neuroscience continue to show that the brain can change, grow, and rewire itself through repeated thoughts, behaviors, and experiences. This means your current mindset is not fixed. No matter how long you have struggled with fear, insecurity, or negative thinking, transformation is possible. You have the ability to retrain your mind, reshape your beliefs, and create a new internal reality that supports success rather than sabotages it. That is the purpose of this book. This book was written to help you identify the hidden mental barriers limiting your progress and give you the tools to break free from them permanently. It is designed to challenge the negative stories you have believed about yourself and replace them with empowering truths that fuel growth, confidence, and achievement. The goal is not simply to motivate you temporarily, but to help you create a lasting transformation from the inside out. As you move through these chapters, you will begin to understand the hidden cost of limiting beliefs. You will see how negative thinking silently steals opportunities, weakens confidence, destroys dreams, and prevents people from reaching their highest potential. You will also discover why talent alone is never enough. There are countless talented people who never achieve greatness because their mindset works against them. At the same time, there are ordinary individuals who accomplish extraordinary things because they refuse to let fear or limitation control their future. You will learn about the psychology of achievement and how successful people think differently from those who remain stuck. High achievers are not free from fear or adversity. They simply develop the mental strength to think beyond obstacles and continue moving forward despite uncertainty. Their success begins with their mindset, long before external results appear. Most importantly, this book will guide you through a personal transformation journey. Each chapter is designed to help you recognize destructive thought patterns, build confidence, develop resilience, and create empowering habits that support long-term success. You will learn how to overcome fear, eliminate self-doubt, take meaningful action, and develop an unstoppable mindset capable of producing extraordinary results. This journey will require honesty, courage, and commitment. There may be moments when you are forced to confront beliefs that have controlled your life for years. But within that confrontation lies the opportunity for freedom. Growth begins the moment you stop accepting limitation as your identity. Never forget this truth. Success always begins internally before it becomes visible externally. The quality of your life will always reflect the quality of your thinking. When your mindset changes, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your actions improve. When your actions improve consistently, your results begin to transform. You are far more powerful than you have been led to believe. There is greatness within you waiting to be awakened. The dreams you carry are possible, but they require a mind that is prepared to believe, act, persist, and grow beyond fear. Your past does not have to define your future. Your failures do not have to become your identity. Your current circumstances do not determine your final destination. This book is an invitation to break free from every mental barrier that has tried to hold you back. It is an invitation to reclaim your confidence, renew your thinking, and step boldly into the life you were created to live. The transformation begins now, not outside of you but within you. Chapter 1. Understanding the mental barriers holding you back. Identifying the invisible walls. Every person is born with potential, but not every person reaches it. Somewhere between dreams and achievement, many people become trapped behind invisible walls they cannot physically see but constantly feel. These walls are known as mental barriers, and they quietly influence decisions, behaviors, confidence, and outcomes. They determine whether someone boldly pursues opportunities or retreats in fear. They decide whether a person persists through challenges or gives up at the first sign of difficulty. They shape the quality of life people experience every single day. The most dangerous thing about mental barriers is that they often appear normal. Many people live with negative thinking patterns for so long that they no longer question them. Fear becomes familiar. Doubt becomes routine. Self-criticism becomes automatic. Eventually, limitation feels comfortable because it has become part of their identity. Yet behind every broken dream, delayed purpose, and unrealized goal, there is often a hidden belief silently whispering, "You are not capable." Mental barriers are internal beliefs, fears, assumptions, and thought patterns that restrict personal growth and achievement. They are not physical obstacles created by the outside world. They exist within the mind, but their effects are very real. A person may have talent, intelligence, opportunity, and ambition, yet still remain stuck because mentally they have already accepted defeat before even trying. Many people are not losing because they lack ability. They are losing because their mindset has convinced them they cannot win. These barriers can develop slowly over time. Sometimes they are formed during childhood, when people experience criticism, rejection, neglect, or unrealistic expectations. A child repeatedly told they are not smart enough may grow into an adult who constantly doubts their abilities. Someone who was laughed at for making mistakes may develop a fear of failure that follows them for years. Others develop mental barriers after painful disappointments, betrayals, or repeated setbacks that gradually weaken confidence. Over time, the mind begins creating protective patterns designed to avoid pain, embarrassment, or rejection. Unfortunately, the same mental patterns that protect people from temporary discomfort often prevent them from achieving long-term success. The mind begins avoiding risks, challenges, and opportunities because fear feels safer than uncertainty. People settle for less not because they lack potential, but because they fear what could happen if they fully pursue their dreams. One of the most common ways mental barriers reveal themselves is through self-sabotage. Self-sabotage occurs when people unconsciously act against their own goals, success, or happiness. This can happen in subtle ways that are difficult to recognize at first. Someone may delay important opportunities, avoid responsibilities, quit too early, or constantly doubt their decisions. Even when opportunities appear, they find reasons not to move forward. Many people believe they are waiting for the right time, but often they are simply afraid. Fear disguises itself as logic, caution, or perfectionism. It convinces people to stay comfortable, while silently robbing them of progress. Self-sabotage becomes a cycle where fear creates hesitation, hesitation creates missed opportunities, and missed opportunities reinforce feelings of inadequacy. Fear-based thinking is one of the strongest mental barriers people face. Fear has the power to distort reality and magnify problems until they appear impossible to overcome. A person may begin imagining worst-case scenarios before taking action. They expect rejection before speaking. They expect failure before trying. They assume criticism before sharing their ideas. Eventually, fear becomes a mental prison that limits growth and achievement. Among the deepest fears people carry is the fear of failure. This fear has stopped countless dreams from becoming reality. Many people are terrified of making mistakes because they associate failure with embarrassment, shame, or personal worthlessness. Instead of viewing failure as part of growth, they interpret it as proof that they are incapable. As a result, they avoid taking risks altogether. The tragedy of fearing failure is that avoiding failure also means avoiding growth. Every successful person has experienced setbacks, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. Failure is not evidence of weakness, it is often evidence of courage. It means someone was willing to try. The people who ultimately achieve greatness are not those who never fail, but those who refuse to let failure define them. Surprisingly, many people also struggle with the fear of success. This fear is less obvious but equally powerful. Success brings visibility, responsibility, expectations, and change. Some people unconsciously fear becoming different from those around them. Others fear being judged, criticized, or unable to maintain their success. Deep inside, they worry they are not truly deserving of achievement. As success approaches, they begin sabotaging their progress without realizing it. They procrastinate, lose focus, avoid opportunities, or retreat into familiar habits because success feels uncomfortable. The mind often prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. This is why personal transformation requires not only external effort, but internal readiness. Perfectionism is another mental barrier that quietly destroys progress. Many people believe perfectionism is a strength, but in reality it often becomes a form of fear. Perfectionists convince themselves they must have everything perfectly prepared before taking action. They delay opportunities waiting for the perfect timing, perfect plan, perfect conditions, or perfect performance. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward without them. Perfectionism creates paralysis. It convinces people that mistakes are unacceptable, which increases fear and hesitation. The truth is that perfection does not exist. Growth happens through learning, adjusting, failing, and improving. Every master was once a beginner. Every expert was once inexperienced. Progress is always more powerful than perfection. Closely connected to perfectionism is procrastination. Many people assume procrastination is simply laziness, but often it is deeply emotional. Procrastination is frequently rooted in fear, overwhelm, insecurity, or self-doubt. People delay action because they are afraid of failing, afraid of being judged, or afraid they will not succeed. The longer they delay, the more guilt and anxiety they experience. This creates a painful cycle where avoidance temporarily reduces stress, but ultimately increases frustration and self-criticism. Dreams remain unfinished, goals stay distant, and confidence continues weakening. Over time, procrastination trains the mind to associate action with discomfort and delay with safety. Another major mental barrier is imposter syndrome. This occurs when people secretly feel they are not good enough, despite evidence of their abilities or accomplishments. They fear being exposed as inadequate or undeserving. Even highly successful individuals sometimes struggle with this internal battle. Imposter syndrome causes people to minimize their achievements and magnify their flaws. They compare themselves constantly to others and assume everyone else is more capable, intelligent, or confident. Instead of appreciating their growth, they focus on what they lack. This mindset creates emotional exhaustion because no accomplishment ever feels enough. Negative self-talk strengthens all these mental barriers. Every day, people engage in internal conversations that shape their confidence and behavior. Unfortunately, many of these conversations are destructive. Thoughts such as, "I can't do this, I always fail, I'm not talented enough," or "people will judge me," gradually become mental programming. The mind believes what it hears repeatedly. If negative thoughts are constantly reinforced, they begin shaping identity. Eventually, people stop questioning these beliefs and start living according to them. This is why self-awareness is essential for transformation. You cannot change what you refuse to recognize. Recognizing emotional triggers is also an important step toward breaking mental barriers. Emotional triggers are situations, words, memories, or experiences that activate fear, insecurity, anger, shame, or self-doubt. For example, criticism may trigger feelings of inadequacy because of painful past experiences. Rejection may trigger fear of abandonment. Failure may trigger memories of humiliation or disappointment. Many people react emotionally without understanding why. Their responses are not always about the present moment, but about unresolved beliefs connected to past experiences. Healing and growth begin when people become aware of these emotional patterns, instead of being controlled by them unconsciously. This chapter is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to awaken you. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. The moment you begin identifying the invisible walls limiting your life, you also begin discovering the power to tear them down. Transformation starts with honesty. You must become willing to examine your thoughts, habits, fears, and emotional patterns without denial. This requires courage, because it is easier to blame circumstances than confront internal struggles. However, lasting success always begins within. One powerful way to begin this process is through self-awareness journaling. Writing down your thoughts helps reveal patterns you may have ignored for years. Pay attention to moments when fear, insecurity, or self-doubt appear. Notice the situations that trigger negative thinking. Observe the excuses you repeatedly make. The goal is not self-condemnation but self-discovery. Another valuable exercise is identifying recurring negative thoughts. Listen carefully to your internal dialogue throughout the day. What do you repeatedly say to yourself during challenges? What assumptions do you make about your abilities or future? These thoughts often reveal the beliefs controlling your behavior. You should also create a personal belief inventory. Write down the beliefs you carry about success, failure, money, relationships, confidence, and self-worth. Ask yourself whether these beliefs empower you or limit you. Many people discover they have accepted false narratives for years without questioning them. Never forget that your current mindset is not your final destiny. Mental barriers may have shaped your past, but they do not have to control your future. The same mind that learned fear can learn courage. The same mind that developed insecurity can develop confidence. The same person who once doubted themselves can become unstoppable through intentional growth and transformation. You are not trapped by your circumstances nearly as much as you are trapped by your perception of them. Once your thinking changes, your possibilities begin expanding. Invisible walls lose their power the moment you recognize they were never unbreakable. There is greatness within you that fear has tried to silence. There are dreams within you that doubt has attempted to destroy. There is potential within you waiting for permission to rise. That permission begins with a decision to confront the mental barriers standing between you and the life you were meant to live. This chapter is your first step toward freedom. The walls can come down. The fear can be overcome. The negative beliefs can be replaced. Your transformation begins the moment you stop accepting limitation as truth and start believing that your mind can be renewed, strengthened, and empowered for success. Chapter 2: The Origins of Limiting Beliefs. Where your internal programming began. Every person enters the world with enormous potential. As children, most people dream without limits. They believe they can become anything, achieve anything, and overcome anything. A child does not naturally believe they are inadequate, incapable, or destined to fail. Those beliefs are learned over time, through experiences, environments, and repeated emotional conditioning. Somewhere along life's journey, many people slowly lose the fearless confidence they once carried. Doubt replaces possibility. Fear replaces curiosity. Limitation replaces belief. To truly break mental barriers, you must first understand where they began. You cannot permanently change your mindset without recognizing the roots of the beliefs controlling your life. Many people spend years fighting symptoms such as fear, insecurity, procrastination, or self-doubt, without ever addressing the deeper programming beneath them. Yet behind every limiting belief lies a story, an experience, or a pattern that shaped the way a person sees themselves and the world around them. Your mindset did not develop overnight. It was built gradually, through years of conditioning. Every environment you entered, every voice you listened to, every painful experience you endured, and every repeated thought you entertained, contributed to your internal programming. Some of these influences empowered you, while others quietly planted seeds of limitation that continued growing long after the original experiences had passed. One of the strongest influences on mindset is childhood conditioning. Childhood is the stage where the mind is most impressionable. During those early years, children absorb information rapidly and often accept what they hear as absolute truth. They depend on the people around them to help define their identity, abilities, and worth. Because of this, the words, attitudes, and behaviors they experience during childhood can leave lasting emotional imprints. A child who grows up hearing encouragement may develop confidence and resilience. A child who constantly receives criticism, rejection, or emotional neglect may begin developing insecurity and fear. When children repeatedly hear statements such as, "You are not smart enough, you will never succeed, people like us do not achieve great things," or "do not dream too big," those words can slowly become internal beliefs. Many adults are still living according to limitations they accepted as children. They may not consciously remember every painful moment, but the emotional programming remains active beneath the surface. A person who was constantly compared to others may struggle with feelings of inadequacy for years. Someone who was made to feel invisible may battle low self-worth in adulthood. Childhood experiences often become the foundation upon which future beliefs are built. Parents play a significant role in shaping mindset, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Most parents do the best they can with the knowledge and experiences they have, but they also pass down beliefs shaped by their own fears, struggles, and limitations. Parents who experience failure may unconsciously teach caution instead of courage. Parents who struggled financially may pass down fear-based beliefs about money and opportunity. Parents who lacked confidence may unintentionally raise children who question their own abilities. Teachers also influence self-perception in powerful ways. A teacher's words can either awaken confidence or reinforce insecurity. Some students thrive because someone believed in them, encouraged them, and recognized their potential. Others carry emotional scars from being labeled unintelligent, problematic, lazy, or incapable. Sometimes a single negative experience in school becomes the beginning of a lifelong belief about personal ability. Peers also contribute to internal programming. During adolescence, acceptance becomes deeply important, and many people begin shaping their identity around the opinions of others. Rejection, bullying, exclusion, or criticism from peers can create emotional wounds that influence confidence for years. Many people begin hiding their true personality, talents, or ambitions because they fear judgment or ridicule. Over time, people start adapting themselves to fit the expectations of others rather than embracing their authentic potential. They stop speaking boldly, dreaming freely, or taking risks because they have learned to associate visibility with emotional pain. Society and culture also play a major role in shaping beliefs. Every society carries expectations about what success looks like, who deserves opportunities, and what limitations people should accept. From an early age, people are exposed to messages about status, appearance, intelligence, gender roles, financial success, and social worth. These messages influence how individuals see themselves and what they believe is possible. Some people are taught to think small because of their background or environment. Others are conditioned to believe that success only belongs to certain groups of people. Social conditioning can convince individuals that their dreams are unrealistic, or that they should settle for survival instead of striving for greatness. The danger of societal expectations is that many people adopt them without questioning whether they are true. They allow external opinions to determine internal identity. Instead of asking themselves what they truly desire, they begin chasing approval, acceptance, or conformity. In the process, they disconnect from their authentic potential. Trauma and repeated failure can also create powerful limiting beliefs. Painful experiences leave emotional memories that shape future behavior. When people experience heartbreak, betrayal, humiliation, rejection, or failure repeatedly, the mind often creates protective beliefs designed to prevent future pain. Unfortunately, those protective beliefs frequently become prisons. A person who experiences repeated rejection may begin believing they are unworthy of love or acceptance. Someone who repeatedly fails in business or career pursuits may conclude they are incapable of success. A person who was betrayed may struggle to trust others again. The mind naturally seeks patterns, and repeated painful experiences can create negative expectations about the future. This is why many people stop trying after multiple disappointments. It is not always because they lack ability. It is because their emotional pain has convinced them that effort is pointless. The mind begins associating risk with suffering and safety with avoidance. Yet one of the greatest truths you must understand is that painful experiences do not define your identity. Failure is an event, not a person. Rejection is an experience, not a permanent definition of worth. Trauma may explain certain fears, but it does not have to determine your future. Healing begins the moment you stop allowing painful experiences to become permanent conclusions about who you are. The brain itself also plays a fascinating role in the formation of limiting beliefs. The human brain is designed to create habits and patterns through repetition. Thoughts that are repeated consistently become stronger over time. Neural pathways form based on repeated thinking, behavior, and emotional experiences. This means the brain literally adapts according to what it experiences most often. If a person repeatedly thinks negative thoughts such as, "I am not good enough, I always fail," or "nothing ever works for me," those thoughts become deeply ingrained mental patterns. The brain becomes conditioned to expect failure, insecurity, and limitation. Eventually, those thoughts feel natural because they have been reinforced repeatedly over time. This process explains why change can initially feel uncomfortable. When people begin adopting empowering beliefs, the mind often resists because it has become accustomed to old patterns. However, the same brain that learned limitation can also learn confidence, resilience, and success. The brain remains adaptable throughout life, which means transformation is always possible. Environmental programming also shapes mindset in profound ways. Your environment includes the people you spend time with, the conversations you hear, the information you consume, and the emotional atmosphere surrounding your daily life. Environments either strengthen belief or reinforce limitation. If a person constantly hears negativity, criticism, fear, and hopelessness, their mindset will eventually reflect those influences. On the other hand, environments filled with encouragement, growth, learning, and possibility can inspire transformation. Many people underestimate the impact of their surroundings on their thinking patterns. This is why personal growth often requires environmental change. Sometimes people cannot fully evolve while remaining surrounded by constant negativity or limitation. Protecting your mindset means becoming intentional about the voices, relationships, and influences you allow into your life. Emotional memory is another important factor in belief formation. The mind remembers emotionally intense experiences more strongly than ordinary ones. Moments connected to shame, fear, embarrassment, rejection, or pain often become deeply stored within the subconscious mind. Even years later, similar situations can trigger emotional reactions connected to those past experiences. For example, someone who was publicly embarrassed while speaking may later experience anxiety when expressing themselves. A person rejected repeatedly may struggle with vulnerability in relationships. Emotional memories create associations that influence future behavior, often without conscious awareness. This is why healing and self-awareness are so important. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. Ignoring emotional wounds does not erase them. Instead, unresolved pain often continues influencing decisions, fears, and beliefs from beneath the surface. Repetition also plays a critical role in identity formation. Whatever people repeatedly think, say, and do eventually becomes part of how they see themselves. Identity is shaped through repeated patterns. A person who consistently avoids challenges may begin identifying as fearful. Someone who repeatedly procrastinates may begin seeing themselves as lazy or undisciplined. On the other hand, a person who consistently takes courageous action gradually develops confidence and resilience. This means identity is not fixed. It is built and reinforced over time. Many of the beliefs you currently hold about yourself were formed through repetition rather than objective truth. If limiting beliefs were learned repeatedly, empowering beliefs can also be developed repeatedly. This chapter is not about blaming parents, society, teachers, or past experiences. It is about understanding. Awareness creates freedom. Once you understand where certain beliefs originated, you can begin questioning whether they truly deserve authority over your future. One powerful exercise for this process is creating a timeline of influential experiences. Reflect honestly on moments that significantly shaped your confidence, fears, or self-perception. Consider childhood experiences, failures, criticisms, disappointments, achievements, and emotional turning points. Often, patterns become clearer once people connect their current struggles to past experiences. Another important exercise is identifying inherited beliefs. Ask yourself which beliefs about money, success, relationships, confidence, or failure were passed down through family, culture, or environment. Many people discover they are living according to beliefs they never consciously chose for themselves. You should also begin rewriting old narratives. Many people carry internal stories such as, "I am not capable, I never succeed," or "I always disappoint others." Challenge those stories. Replace them with empowering truths rooted in growth, possibility, and resilience. Your past experiences may have influenced you, but they do not have to imprison you. Never forget that many of the beliefs limiting your life were installed before you were mature enough to question them. Some were inherited. Some were learned through pain. Some were reinforced through repetition. But none of them are permanent unless you continue accepting them as truth. You are not obligated to remain the person your past conditioned you to become. You have the power to examine your beliefs, challenge your programming, and create a new mindset aligned with your highest potential. Transformation begins when you stop identifying with limitation and start recognizing the strength, resilience and greatness that have always existed within you. Your story is not over. Your past may explain your struggles, but it does not define your destiny. The mind can be renewed. The beliefs can be rewritten. The emotional wounds can heal. And the person who once felt trapped by fear and limitation can become someone powerful, confident, and unstoppable. This chapter is an invitation to reclaim ownership of your mind. Once you understand where your internal programming began, you also begin realizing that you have the ability to change it. The future does not belong to your past conditioning. It belongs to the person you decide to become from this moment forward. Chapter 3: Rewiring the Mind for Success. Changing the mental software. One of the most powerful truths you will ever discover is that your mind is not permanently fixed. The beliefs, habits, fears, and thought patterns you carry today are not life sentences. They are patterns that have been learned, practiced, and reinforced over time. And anything that has been learned can also be changed. This means no matter how long you have struggled with self-doubt, fear, insecurity, or limitation, transformation is possible. Your mind can be rewired for success. Many people live as prisoners of old mental programming because they believe change is impossible. They think they are simply born this way. They accept anxiety as their identity, procrastination as their personality, or fear as their permanent condition. However, science and human experience continue to prove that the brain has an incredible ability to adapt, grow, and reorganize itself throughout life. This ability is known as neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to form new neural connections based on repeated thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and experiences. Every thought you think creates activity within the brain. The more a particular thought or behavior is repeated, the stronger those neural pathways become. In simple terms, your brain becomes wired according to what you repeatedly practice mentally and emotionally. This explains why negative thinking can become so automatic. If someone spends years repeating thoughts such as, "I am not good enough, I always fail," or "nothing ever works for me," the brain strengthens those pathways until they become familiar and effortless. Eventually, negativity feels natural because it has been mentally rehearsed thousands of times. The encouraging truth is that positive transformation works the same way. New beliefs, empowering thoughts, courageous actions, and healthy habits can also create new neural pathways. Confidence can be developed. Discipline can be strengthened. Resilience can be trained. Success begins to feel natural when the mind is repeatedly conditioned toward growth instead of fear. Your brain is constantly adapting to whatever you feed it most consistently. If you feed it fear, limitation, negativity, and self-doubt, those patterns become stronger. If you feed it confidence, courage, possibility, and determination, those patterns begin to grow instead. This is why changing your life requires changing your mental software. Imagine a computer running on outdated programming, filled with errors and limitations. No matter how powerful the hardware may be, the system will continue producing poor results until the software is upgraded. The same principle applies to the human mind. Many people possess enormous potential, talent, and ability, yet their internal programming continues sabotaging their success. They are operating with mental software built around fear, insecurity, and limitation. Rewiring the mind begins with awareness. Before you can install empowering beliefs, you must first recognize the destructive beliefs currently shaping your behavior. Many people are unaware of how negatively they speak to themselves every day. Their minds have become so accustomed to fear-based thinking that they no longer question it. Pay attention to your internal dialogue. Notice the thoughts that arise when you face challenges, opportunities, or uncertainty. Do you immediately expect failure? Do you criticize yourself harshly after mistakes? Do you assume other people are more capable than you? These patterns reveal the programming currently operating within your mind. Thought transformation begins when you stop accepting negative thoughts as truth. Thoughts are not always facts. Just because your mind says something repeatedly does not mean it is accurate. Many people have spent years believing lies about themselves simply because those lies became familiar. The process of transformation requires replacing destructive beliefs with empowering ones. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist or ignoring reality. It means choosing beliefs that strengthen growth instead of reinforcing limitation. Instead of thinking, "I will never succeed," you begin training your mind to believe, "I am capable of growth and improvement." Instead of saying, "I always fail," you replace it with, "Every setback is helping me become stronger and wiser." At first, these new beliefs may feel uncomfortable or unnatural because the brain is accustomed to old patterns. This is completely normal. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it becomes natural. The key is repetition. Repeated empowering thoughts gradually weaken old neural pathways while strengthening new ones. One of the most effective tools for rewiring the mind is the use of affirmations. Affirmations are positive, intentional statements designed to reinforce empowering beliefs. When practiced consistently with emotion and conviction, affirmations can begin reshaping the subconscious mind. Unfortunately, many people use affirmations incorrectly. They repeat words mechanically, without emotional connection or consistent action. True affirmations are not empty phrases. They are declarations of the identity and future you are intentionally creating. They should be spoken with belief, energy, and consistency. When you repeatedly declare statements such as, "I am becoming more confident every day," "I am capable of achieving great things," "I deserve success and growth," or "I am stronger than my fears," you begin training your brain to focus on possibility instead of limitation. Over time, those beliefs influence behavior, decisions, and emotional responses. Visualization is another powerful tool for mental transformation. The brain often responds to vividly imagined experiences in ways similar to real experiences. This means mentally rehearsing success can strengthen confidence, focus, and emotional preparedness. Successful athletes, performers, entrepreneurs, and leaders frequently use visualization techniques to mentally prepare for challenges before they happen. They imagine themselves succeeding, overcoming obstacles, and performing with confidence. This mental rehearsal conditions the brain to become familiar with success instead of fear. Visualization works because the mind cannot always distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual experiences. When you repeatedly visualize yourself succeeding, speaking confidently, achieving goals, or overcoming fear, your brain begins strengthening those pathways emotionally and mentally. Spend time each day imagining the person you are becoming. See yourself acting with confidence, discipline, courage, and determination. Feel the emotions associated with success. Imagine yourself overcoming obstacles calmly and persistently. The more emotionally vivid the experience becomes, the stronger the conditioning effect on the mind. Mental rehearsal is especially powerful when facing fears or challenges. If you struggle with public speaking, mentally rehearse yourself speaking confidently. If you fear failure, visualize yourself handling setbacks with resilience and strength. Repeated mental rehearsal prepares the brain to respond differently in real situations. However, rewiring the mind requires more than positive thinking alone. Real transformation occurs when thoughts, emotions, and behaviors begin aligning consistently. This is where habits become essential. Habits are repeated behaviors that eventually become automatic. Every habit reinforces a particular identity. A person who consistently avoids challenges strengthens the identity of fearfulness. Someone who consistently takes action despite discomfort strengthens the identity of courage and discipline. Many people try to change outcomes without changing habits. They want confidence without practicing courageous behavior. They want success without developing consistency. But lasting transformation happens through repeated action. Every action sends signals to the brain about who you believe yourself to be. This is why small consistent actions matter so much. Tiny daily choices gradually shape identity over time. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, complete a difficult task or take action despite fear, you reinforce the belief that you are capable and disciplined. Habit loops play a major role in mental conditioning. Every habit follows a cycle involving a trigger, behavior, and reward. Understanding this process allows you to intentionally replace destructive habits with empowering ones. For example, someone experiencing stress may automatically respond with procrastination or negative thinking because those patterns have become emotionally familiar. To create change, they must interrupt the old response and replace it with a healthier behavior such as focused action, exercise, journaling, or positive self-talk. Repeated replacement gradually rewires the brain's response patterns. Identity shifts are also critical for transformation. Many people focus only on goals while ignoring identity. They say, "I want to become successful," but deep inside they still identify as fearful, unworthy, or incapable. True transformation occurs when people begin changing how they see themselves. Instead of merely trying to achieve success, begin asking yourself, "Who must I become?" Success is not just about external results. It is about internal evolution. You must start seeing yourself as someone capable of growth, resilience, confidence, and discipline. This identity shift happens through repetition. Every empowering thought, courageous decision, and disciplined action reinforces the new identity you are creating. Over time, confidence stops feeling like an act and begins feeling authentic. Emotional conditioning also plays a powerful role in rewiring the mind. Human behavior is deeply connected to emotion. Whatever experiences create strong emotional responses tend to become deeply ingrained within memory and identity. This is why fear-based experiences can shape limiting beliefs so powerfully. But emotional conditioning can also be used positively. When empowering thoughts and behaviors are connected to positive emotional experiences, they become stronger. Celebrate your progress even when it seems small. Acknowledge moments of courage, discipline, growth, and persistence. Many people focus so heavily on what they have not achieved that they ignore evidence of progress. The brain needs reinforcement to strengthen empowering patterns. Transformation also requires patience. Many people quit too early because they expect instant change. But mental rewiring is a process, not an event. The brain changes through consistent repetition over time. Old patterns may resist at first because they have been reinforced for years. That resistance does not mean change is impossible. It simply means the brain is adjusting to new programming. There will be moments when old fears attempt to return. There will be days when self-doubt tries to reappear. But every time you consciously choose empowering thoughts and courageous actions, you weaken the power of old programming. One powerful daily exercise is creating success affirmations specifically connected to your personal struggles and goals. Speak them every morning and evening with emotion and certainty. Let them become part of your daily mental conditioning. You should also establish a visualization routine. Spend several minutes each day mentally rehearsing the future you desire. Imagine yourself succeeding in vivid detail. Feel the emotions associated with achievement, confidence, and growth. Allow your mind to become familiar with success. Another important practice is thought replacement. Whenever negative thoughts arise, consciously interrupt them and replace them with empowering alternatives. Do not allow destructive thinking to operate unchecked. Train your mind intentionally. Never underestimate the power of repetition. The same repetition that once created limitation can now create confidence and achievement. Every day you are programming your mind, either consciously or unconsciously. The question is whether your programming is helping you grow or keeping you trapped. You are not condemned to remain controlled by your past conditioning. The fears, doubts, insecurities, and limitations you developed over the years are not permanent parts of your identity. They are mental patterns that can be changed through consistent intentional effort. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It can become your greatest enemy or your greatest ally depending on how it is trained. When properly conditioned, the human mind becomes capable of extraordinary resilience, creativity, confidence, and achievement. The transformation you desire is possible. You can become mentally stronger. You can develop confidence where insecurity once existed. You can train yourself to think differently, act differently, and live differently. The process begins the moment you stop surrendering to old programming and start intentionally rewiring your mind for success. Every empowering thought matters. Every courageous action matters. Every disciplined habit matters. With consistency, patience, and belief, the mental software that once limited your life can be completely transformed. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not powerless. Your mind can change, your beliefs can evolve, and your future can become greater than your past. The journey of rewiring your mind is the journey of reclaiming your potential, awakening your confidence, and stepping fully into the successful life you were always capable of creating. Chapter 4: Overcoming Fear and Self-Doubt. Breaking free from paralysis. Fear is one of the most powerful emotional forces in human life. It has stopped dreams before they ever began, silenced voices filled with brilliance, destroyed confidence, delayed purpose, and trapped countless people in lives far smaller than the ones they were capable of creating. Every person, no matter how talented, intelligent, or ambitious, faces fear at some point in life. Fear does not discriminate. It appears in the minds of entrepreneurs before launching businesses, in students before major opportunities, in leaders before difficult decisions, and in ordinary individuals standing at the edge of transformation. The difference between those who remain stuck and those who achieve greatness is not the absence of fear. The difference is the willingness to move forward despite it. Many people spend years waiting for fear to disappear before taking action. They believe confidence must come first. They think successful people are naturally fearless. But this belief is one of the greatest illusions ever created. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act while fear is still present. Fear may speak loudly, but it does not have to control your decisions. To overcome fear, you must first understand what fear truly is. Fear is a psychological and physiological response designed to protect human beings from danger. In life-threatening situations, fear is necessary because it activates survival instincts. It prepares the body to respond quickly through what is commonly known as the fight or flight response. The heart beats faster, muscles tense, and attention becomes focused. The problem is that the human mind often reacts to emotional risks as if they are physical dangers. The fear of rejection, embarrassment, criticism, uncertainty, or failure can trigger the same intense emotional responses as actual threats. This causes many people to avoid situations that are not truly dangerous, but simply uncomfortable. Your brain is constantly trying to keep you safe, but safety and growth rarely exist in the same place. Growth requires uncertainty. Achievement requires risk. Transformation requires discomfort. Unfortunately, fear convinces people that discomfort should be avoided at all costs. As a result, many individuals stay trapped in routines, environments, and behaviors that feel familiar even when those patterns are limiting their future. Fear becomes especially dangerous when combined with self-doubt. Self-doubt is the internal voice that questions your worth, abilities, intelligence, and potential. It whispers thoughts such as, "What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I am not good enough?" Over time, these thoughts weaken confidence and destroy momentum. Momentum is critical for success because progress creates emotional energy. Action builds confidence, while hesitation strengthens fear. The longer people delay action, the more powerful fear becomes in their minds. Opportunities begin feeling larger, challenges appear more intimidating, and self-doubt grows stronger through inactivity. Many dreams die not because people lack talent, but because they hesitate too long. Fear convinces them to wait until they feel fully prepared, fully confident, or fully certain. But certainty rarely comes before action. Confidence is usually built during the process, not before it begins. This is why courage must be developed intentionally. Courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken fear's authority over your life. Every courageous decision trains your brain to realize that discomfort is survivable and growth is possible. One of the greatest traps people fall into is the comfort zone. The comfort zone is the psychological space where life feels safe, predictable, and familiar. Inside the comfort zone, there is minimal risk, minimal uncertainty, and minimal emotional discomfort. At first, comfort feels harmless. But over time, comfort becomes dangerous because it slowly limits growth. Nothing extraordinary happens inside the comfort zone. Dreams are not built there. Confidence is not strengthened there. Potential is not discovered there. The comfort zone creates the illusion of safety, while quietly stealing opportunity, purpose, and fulfillment. Many people remain stuck for years because they fear temporary discomfort more than permanent regret. They tolerate lives that no longer inspire them, because familiarity feels safer than change. Yet deep inside, they know they were created for more. They feel the frustration of unrealized potential, because the human spirit naturally desires growth and expansion. Every breakthrough requires stepping beyond comfort. The first conversation, the first business attempt, the first speech, the first creative project, the first leadership opportunity, the first risk, all of these moments feel uncomfortable at the beginning. But discomfort is often a sign that growth is occurring. Understanding the psychology of risk-taking is essential for overcoming fear. Human beings naturally prefer certainty, because uncertainty feels emotionally threatening. The brain constantly tries to predict outcomes in order to reduce anxiety. However, success often requires entering situations where outcomes cannot be guaranteed. Many people avoid taking risks because they focus entirely on what could go wrong. They imagine failure, embarrassment, rejection, or loss before they even begin. Their minds create negative scenarios so vividly that fear feels real long before any actual failure occurs. What they fail to consider is what could go right. Every opportunity carries both risk and possibility. Fear magnifies potential pain while ignoring potential reward. If people spent as much time visualizing success as they do imagining failure, their lives would look very different. Risk-taking does not mean acting recklessly. It means being willing to move forward despite uncertainty, because growth matters more than temporary fear. Every successful person has taken emotional, financial, professional, or personal risks at some point. The willingness to face uncertainty separates those who transform their lives from those who remain trapped in hesitation. Building emotional resilience is another essential part of overcoming fear and self-doubt. Emotional resilience is the ability to recover, adapt, and continue moving forward despite challenges, setbacks, or emotional pain. Fear becomes less controlling when you trust your ability to handle adversity. Many people fear failure because they believe failure would emotionally destroy them. They associate setbacks with personal worthlessness. But resilient individuals understand that setbacks are temporary experiences, not permanent identities. They do not interpret challenges as proof of inadequacy. Instead, they see them as opportunities for growth, learning, and strengthening. Emotional resilience develops through experience. Every challenge you survive reminds you that you are stronger than you once believed. Every obstacle you overcome increases your capacity to face future difficulties with greater confidence. This is why avoiding discomfort weakens resilience, while facing discomfort strengthens it. People who constantly run from fear remain emotionally fragile because they never give themselves the opportunity to develop strength. On the other hand, individuals who repeatedly face difficult situations gradually become mentally tougher and more emotionally confident. Confidence itself is built through repetition. Many people mistakenly believe confidence is something people are born with. In reality, confidence is usually the result of repeated action and accumulated evidence. The more you practice something, the more familiar it becomes. The more familiar it becomes, the less fear controls you. Think about any skill you once found intimidating. At first, it may have felt uncomfortable or overwhelming. But through repetition, your confidence increased because your brain adapted through experience. The same principle applies to every area of life. A person becomes confident in communication by communicating repeatedly. A leader becomes confident by leading repeatedly. A writer becomes confident by writing repeatedly. Confidence is built through evidence created by action. This means waiting to feel confident before acting is backwards. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. The first step often feels uncomfortable because growth begins where familiarity ends. But each repeated act of courage gradually reshapes your identity. Fear can also become fuel when approached correctly. Instead of viewing fear as an enemy, you can begin seeing it as a signal pointing toward growth. Often, the things that scare you most are connected to the areas where your greatest transformation awaits. Fear reveals importance. People rarely fear things that do not matter to them. Fear often appears around dreams, opportunities, relationships, and goals that carry emotional significance. Instead of allowing fear to stop you, use it as evidence that you are standing near something meaningful. The energy created by fear can be redirected into determination, focus, and preparation. Many high achievers still experience nervousness, uncertainty, or anxiety before major moments. The difference is that they no longer interpret fear as a command to stop. They interpret it as a sign to prepare, focus, and move forward anyway. One powerful exercise for overcoming fear is the Fear Exposure Challenge. Avoidance strengthens fear while exposure weakens it. The more you avoid something, the larger and more intimidating it becomes in your mind. But when you gradually confront feared situations, your brain begins learning that those experiences are survivable. Start small if necessary. If you fear speaking up, begin by expressing yourself in small conversations. If you fear rejection, practice initiating interactions without attaching your worth to the outcome. If you fear failure, Challenge yourself to pursue goals where growth matters more than perfection. Each exposure reduces fear's emotional intensity while increasing confidence. Over time, situations that once felt terrifying begin feeling manageable. Another powerful strategy involves building confidence-building habits. Daily habits shape identity and emotional strength. Small, consistent actions create evidence that reinforces self-belief. Keeping promises to yourself builds trust. Completing difficult tasks strengthens discipline. Practicing courage regularly develops resilience. Do not underestimate the importance of small victories. Every positive action sends signals to your brain about who you are becoming. The person who consistently acts with courage eventually begins identifying as courageous. The worst-case scenario, reframing exercise, is also highly effective for reducing fear. Many people remain trapped because they imagine catastrophic outcomes without examining them logically. Ask yourself honestly, what is the worst realistic outcome if I try and fail? In many cases, the consequences are far less devastating than fear initially suggests. Even failure often carries hidden benefits such as experience, wisdom, growth, resilience, and clarity. Most setbacks are temporary, but the regret of never trying can last for years. When you realize you are capable of surviving discomfort, fear loses much of its power. One of the greatest truths you must remember is that fear will never completely disappear from life. New opportunities, bigger goals, and unfamiliar challenges will continue creating moments of uncertainty. But your relationship with fear can change completely. You can learn to stop seeing fear as a prison and start viewing it as part of the journey toward growth. Fear does not mean you are incapable. It does not mean you should stop. It simply means you are stepping beyond familiarity. Every successful person you admire has faced fear. They experienced moments of doubt, uncertainty, insecurity, and discomfort. What made the difference was their refusal to let those emotions make their decisions for them. You are stronger than your fear. You are more capable than your self-doubt. The voice telling you that you cannot succeed is not the voice of truth. It is the voice of conditioning, insecurity, and past limitation trying to keep you small. There is a powerful version of yourself waiting on the other side of fear. A more confident version. A more resilient version. A more courageous version. But you cannot meet that version of yourself while remaining trapped in hesitation. Your future requires movement. It requires action despite uncertainty. It requires the willingness to step beyond comfort and trust your ability to grow through challenges. Courage is not built in moments of safety. It is built in moments where fear exists, and you decide to move forward anyway. Every step you take despite fear weakens its control over your life. Every courageous action expands your confidence. Every challenge you face strengthens your resilience. And every moment you refuse to surrender to self-doubt brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. Fear may speak, but it does not have to lead. Doubt may appear, but it does not have to decide your future. You have the power to act anyway, rise anyway, believe anyway, and continue moving forward until the life you once feared pursuing becomes your reality. Chapter 5: Developing an Unstoppable Success Mindset. Thinking like high achievers. Every extraordinary achievement begins with a way of thinking. Before greatness becomes visible in a person's results, it first develops within their mindset. Long before successful people build businesses, lead movements, achieve financial freedom, or transform their lives, they learn to think differently. Their external success is simply a reflection of their internal conditioning. An unstoppable success mindset is not something reserved for a select few. It is not limited to people born into wealth, privilege, or extraordinary circumstances. It is a mental framework that can be developed intentionally by anyone willing to train their mind for growth, discipline, resilience, and purpose. The difference between people who consistently rise in life and those who remain trapped in limitation often comes down to how they think, respond, and persist through challenges. High achievers are not free from setbacks, fear, or adversity. They experience disappointment, failure, uncertainty, criticism, and obstacles just like everyone else. What separates them is their ability to maintain focus, emotional strength, and forward movement despite difficulties. They refuse to allow temporary struggles to define their future. One of the most important characteristics of successful thinkers is their belief in possibility. They do not automatically assume defeat when challenges appear. Instead, they look for solutions, opportunities, and lessons within adversity. Their mindset is built around growth rather than limitation. While others focus on obstacles, successful individuals focus on what can still be done. This way of thinking changes everything. Two people can face the exact same situation and produce completely different outcomes because of their mindset. One person may see difficulty and immediately surrender. Another person may see the same difficulty and decide to grow stronger because of it. The external situation may be identical, but the internal response creates different destinies. High achievers also take responsibility for their lives. They do not spend years blaming circumstances, luck, or other people for their lack of progress. They understand that while they may not control every situation, they always control their response. This mindset creates personal power because responsibility leads to action, while blame leads to stagnation. Many people wait for ideal conditions before pursuing their goals. They believe they will begin once they feel ready, confident, motivated, or supported. But successful individuals understand that growth rarely begins under perfect conditions. They move forward despite uncertainty because they know waiting endlessly only strengthens fear and hesitation. A major difference between high achievers and those who remain stuck is the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset believes abilities are permanent and unchangeable. People with this mindset often avoid challenges because they fear failure will expose weakness or inadequacy. They interpret setbacks as evidence that they are simply not good enough. As a result, they stay trapped in familiar patterns because growth feels threatening. They may avoid opportunities, fear criticism, and quit easily when progress becomes difficult. Deep inside, they believe their limitations are permanent. A growth mindset operates completely differently. People with a growth mindset believe abilities can be developed through learning, effort, consistency, and persistence. They understand that mistakes are part of growth, not proof of failure. Instead of fearing challenges, they see challenges as opportunities to improve. This mindset creates resilience because setbacks no longer destroy confidence. Failure becomes feedback instead of identity. Criticism becomes information instead of personal rejection. Obstacles become training instead of defeat. A growth mindset transforms the way people approach life. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," they begin saying, "I can learn this." Instead of believing they are permanently limited, they focus on improvement and progress. This mental shift alone can completely change a person's future. Self-discipline is another essential quality of an unstoppable success mindset. Discipline is the ability to act consistently, regardless of emotions, moods, or temporary discomfort. Many people rely too heavily on motivation, but motivation is unreliable because emotions constantly change. Discipline creates stability when motivation disappears. High achievers understand that success is built through repeated daily actions, not occasional bursts of inspiration. They develop routines, habits, and systems that keep them moving forward even when they do not feel like it. They recognize that small, consistent actions eventually create extraordinary results. Discipline also requires emotional maturity. There will always be distractions, excuses, temptations, and moments of fatigue. But successful individuals learn how to prioritize long-term goals over temporary comfort. They understand that growth often requires sacrificing immediate pleasure for future reward. This ability is known as delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is the willingness to endure temporary discomfort in order to achieve greater long-term outcomes. Many people sabotage their future because they constantly choose short-term comfort over long-term progress. They avoid difficult tasks, delay important goals, and seek instant pleasure rather than enduring the discipline required for transformation. High achievers think differently. They are willing to make sacrifices today because they remain focused on the future they are creating. They understand that every decision either moves them closer to their goals or further away from them. Mental toughness is deeply connected to discipline and delayed gratification. Mental toughness is the ability to remain focused, resilient, and emotionally strong during adversity. Life will always present challenges, disappointments, setbacks, and unexpected difficulties. People with weak mental endurance often collapse emotionally when obstacles appear. But mentally tough individuals continue moving forward despite discomfort. Mental toughness does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending challenges do not exist. It means refusing to allow emotions to control your direction. High achievers feel fear, frustration, and disappointment, but they do not allow those emotions to paralyze them. They acknowledge discomfort while continuing to act with purpose. One reason many people fail to develop mental toughness is because they constantly seek comfort. Modern life makes it easy to avoid discomfort, but avoiding difficulty weakens resilience. Growth requires challenge. Strength is developed through resistance. Just as muscles grow stronger through physical strain, mental resilience develops through adversity. Every difficult experience carries the opportunity to become stronger. Every setback can either break you or build you depending on your response. Mentally strong people do not interpret hardship as punishment. They interpret it as preparation. The power of focus is another defining characteristic of successful thinkers. In a world filled with distractions, focus has become one of the rarest and most valuable abilities. Many people constantly divide their attention between endless distractions, worries, comparisons, and temporary pleasures. As a result, their energy becomes scattered and inconsistent. High achievers understand that focused energy creates momentum. They direct their attention toward meaningful goals and eliminate distractions that weaken progress. They understand that where attention goes, energy flows. Focus also requires clarity. People cannot move powerfully toward a future they have never clearly defined. Many individuals remain frustrated because they are drifting through life without direction. They have vague desires but no clear vision. Successful people think intentionally about the future they want to create. Purpose-driven thinking creates emotional strength and motivation. When people connect their goals to a deeper sense of purpose, they develop greater resilience during difficult moments. Purpose gives meaning to sacrifice, discipline, and perseverance. Without purpose, people quit easily because discomfort feels pointless. High achievers understand why they are working hard. Their goals are connected to something meaningful, beyond temporary emotion. Purpose allows them to endure challenges that would discourage others. Persistence is another critical trait of an unstoppable mindset. Many people give up too early because they expect immediate results. They become discouraged when progress feels slow or difficult. But successful individuals understand that greatness is built gradually, through consistency and perseverance. Persistence means continuing, even when results are not immediately visible. It means refusing to surrender after setbacks or delays. It means understanding that every effort, every lesson, and every challenge contributes to long-term growth. Most people underestimate how much persistence matters. Talent may create opportunity, but persistence determines longevity. Many highly talented people fail because they quit when adversity appears. Meanwhile, less naturally gifted individuals often succeed because they remain consistent long enough to improve and adapt. Accountability also plays a major role in success. High achievers hold themselves responsible for their actions, decisions, and results. They do not constantly make excuses or shift blame. Accountability creates honesty, and honesty creates growth. When people avoid accountability, they avoid transformation. Excuses protect the ego temporarily, but destroy progress long-term. Successful individuals are willing to evaluate themselves honestly, identify weaknesses, and improve consistently. Mastering emotional control is another important aspect of developing an unstoppable mindset. Emotions influence behavior powerfully, but emotionally mature individuals learn how to manage their reactions instead of becoming controlled by them. Many people make destructive decisions based on temporary emotions. Fear causes hesitation. Anger damages relationships. Discouragement leads to quitting. Anxiety creates paralysis. But emotionally disciplined individuals learn how to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming emotionally aware and intentional. High achievers recognize emotions without allowing those emotions to dictate their future. They remain grounded in purpose even during emotional storms. One powerful exercise for developing an unstoppable mindset is success identity creation. Instead of focusing only on goals, focus on the person you must become to achieve those goals. Ask yourself what qualities, habits, attitudes, and behaviors define the successful version of yourself. Visualize that identity clearly. How does this person think? How do they respond to challenges? How do they manage time, emotions, relationships, and setbacks? Every day, begin acting in alignment with that identity even before external results fully appear. Another important exercise is maintaining a daily discipline tracker. Consistency builds confidence and momentum. Track the habits and actions that support your growth. Small repeated actions create identity shifts over time. Every discipline choice strengthens your belief in yourself. You should also complete a goal clarity worksheet for your life. Define your goals with specificity and emotional meaning. Vague goals create weak motivation. Clear goals create direction and focus. Understand not only what you want, but why it matters deeply to you. Never forget that success is not simply about achieving external rewards. True success begins internally through mindset transformation. The life you desire requires becoming someone mentally prepared to create and sustain it. You must stop identifying with fear, limitation, inconsistency, and self-doubt. Those patterns belong to an old version of yourself. A new identity is waiting to emerge, one built on discipline, resilience, focus, courage, and purpose. The mindset patterns you develop daily will shape your future. Every thought matters. Every habit matters. Every decision matters. The small choices you make consistently either strengthen your potential or weaken it. You are capable of far more than you currently realize. There is strength within you that adversity has not destroyed. There is potential within you that fear has not erased. There is greatness within you waiting for permission to rise. An unstoppable mindset is not created overnight. It is built through intentional daily growth. It is developed every time you choose discipline over excuses, persistence over quitting, focus over distraction, and courage over fear. The transformation begins with a decision. A decision to stop thinking like someone defeated by circumstances and start thinking like someone capable of creating change. A decision to stop surrendering to limitation and start developing the mindset patterns of resilient, high-performing individuals. Your future does not belong to your past fears or failures. It belongs to the person you are becoming through consistent intentional growth. The moment you begin training your mind for success, you begin unlocking possibilities that once seemed impossible. You were not created to live trapped by limitation. You were created to grow, achieve, overcome, and rise beyond every mental barrier standing in your way. The unstoppable mindset you admire in others can also become your reality if you are willing to think differently, act consistently, and persist long enough to become the person your future requires. Chapter 6: Eliminating Negative Habits and Toxic Influences. Protecting your mental environment. Your environment has more power over your life than you may realize. Every day, your mind is being shaped by the people around you, the habits you repeat, the conversations you entertain, the information you consume, and the emotional atmosphere you allow into your life. Whether consciously or unconsciously, these influences are constantly reinforcing beliefs, behaviors, attitudes, and emotional patterns that either strengthen your growth or weaken your potential. Many people work hard to improve themselves mentally, while remaining surrounded by environments that continuously pull them backward. They attempt to build confidence, while constantly listening to negativity. They try to develop discipline, while remaining trapped in destructive routines. They pursue success while allowing toxic influences to drain their energy, focus, and self-belief. True transformation requires more than motivation alone. It requires protecting your mental environment. Just as a healthy seed cannot fully thrive in poisoned soil, a growing mindset struggles to flourish in a destructive environment. You cannot consistently expose your mind to negativity, distraction, fear, and emotional toxicity while expecting to develop confidence, clarity, and purpose. Your environment either nourishes your growth or slowly destroys it. One of the greatest reasons people remain trapped in limitation is because their habits continually reinforce the identity they are trying to escape. Habits are powerful because they create repetition, and repetition shapes identity. Every repeated behavior sends messages to your brain about who you are and what you believe about yourself. A person who constantly procrastinates reinforces the identity of someone who avoids responsibility. Someone who repeatedly gives up during challenges strengthens the belief that they lack resilience. A person who continuously engages in negative self-talk reinforces insecurity and self-doubt. Over time, these repeated behaviors become emotionally familiar and mentally automatic. This is why changing your life requires changing your habits. Your future is hidden inside your daily routines. Success is not usually the result of one dramatic moment. It is the result of repeated behaviors practiced consistently over time. Every habit either moves you closer to your goals or further away from them. Negative habits often begin as temporary coping mechanisms for discomfort, stress, fear, boredom, or emotional pain. People procrastinate to avoid anxiety. They overconsume entertainment to escape responsibility. They engage in negative thinking because it has become emotionally familiar. Unfortunately, habits that temporarily relieve discomfort often create long-term frustration and limitation. Many people remain unaware of how much their habits are silently shaping their future. They focus on goals, while ignoring the daily behaviors, determining whether those goals will ever become reality. But your habits reveal your true direction more than your intentions do. If you want to create a new life, you must first create new routines. Your daily actions must begin aligning with the person you desire to become. Every empowering habit strengthens confidence, discipline, and self-respect. Every destructive habit weakens momentum and reinforces limitation. Toxic relationships also play a major role in limiting personal growth. The people surrounding you influence your mindset more than you may realize. Human beings naturally absorb emotional energy, attitudes, and behaviors from those around them. This is why your relationships either elevate your thinking or slowly poison it. Some people constantly speak negativity into every situation. They criticize dreams, mock ambition, magnify fear, and focus endlessly on problems instead of possibilities. Others manipulate, drain, discourage, or emotionally exhaust those around them. Spending too much time around these influences can weaken confidence and distort perspective. Toxic people often project their own fears, insecurities, and limitations onto others. Someone who has given up on their own dreams may discourage yours. Someone trapped in fear may criticize your courage. Someone uncomfortable with growth may attempt to keep you emotionally small, because your transformation reminds them of their own lack of action. This does not mean you must become harsh, arrogant, or emotionally disconnected. It means you must become intentional about protecting your mental and emotional health. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy, focus, and peace of mind. Healthy relationships inspire growth, encouragement, accountability, and emotional strength. Supportive people challenge you to become better while respecting your journey. They celebrate your progress instead of resenting it. They speak possibility instead of limitation. Social influence psychology reveals how deeply people are affected by those around them. Human beings naturally adapt to their environments and social groups. The attitudes, expectations, and behaviors surrounding you gradually become normalized within your thinking. If negativity, laziness, fear, and mediocrity dominate your environment, those patterns may eventually begin influencing your mindset without you realizing it. On the other hand, surrounding yourself with growth-oriented individuals can inspire confidence, discipline, and ambition. Being around people who think positively, pursue goals, and embrace personal development can expand your vision of what is possible for your own life. This is why successful individuals are often extremely protective of their inner circle. They understand that energy is contagious. Attitudes spread. Mindsets transfer. The people closest to you can either strengthen your growth or sabotage it. Mental clutter and distraction are also major enemies of success. Modern life constantly bombards people with noise, information, entertainment, comparison, and emotional overstimulation. Many minds are overloaded with distractions that weaken focus, clarity, and creativity. A distracted mind struggles to produce meaningful progress. Constant interruptions prevent deep thinking, intentional action, and emotional stability. Many people spend hours consuming endless information, while neglecting the actions that would actually improve their lives. Technology itself is not the enemy. The problem is unconscious consumption. Many individuals wake up each day immediately filling their minds with negativity, comparison, anxiety, gossip, or meaningless distraction. Over time, this mental clutter weakens emotional strength and reduces productivity. The information you consume daily shapes your mindset. Media has tremendous influence over emotions, beliefs, attitudes, and perception. Constant exposure to fear-based news, negativity, unrealistic comparisons, and toxic content can gradually create anxiety, insecurity, and hopelessness. Social media especially has the power to distort self-worth when consumed carelessly. Many people spend hours comparing their lives to carefully edited versions of other people's success. This comparison often creates feelings of inadequacy, discouragement, and self-doubt. The mind was never designed to absorb endless negativity, distraction, and comparison without consequences. What you repeatedly consume eventually influences your emotional state and belief system. This is why mental protection is essential for growth. Instead of feeding your mind constant negativity, begin intentionally consuming information that strengthens your mindset. Read empowering books. Listen to educational content. Learn from people who inspire growth and resilience. Fill your mind with ideas that expand possibility rather than reinforce limitation. Energy-draining behaviors also prevent many people from reaching their potential. Certain habits quietly destroy emotional strength, focus, and motivation over time. Chronic complaining, gossip, overthinking, laziness, excessive entertainment, and constant comparison drain valuable mental energy. Complaining is especially destructive because it trains the mind to focus on problems rather than solutions. The more people complain, the more powerless they begin feeling. Their attention becomes trapped in negativity instead of progress. Successful individuals are not free from problems, but they train themselves to focus more on solutions than excuses. Overthinking also drains emotional energy. Many people become trapped in endless mental analysis without taking action. They replay fears, imagine worst-case scenarios, and seek perfect certainty before moving forward. But overthinking rarely produces clarity. More often, it creates paralysis. Action creates momentum. Clarity often comes through movement rather than endless mental debate. People who constantly overthink opportunities frequently miss them because fear disguises itself as preparation. Creating empowering routines is essential for protecting your mental environment. Routines create stability, structure, and intentionality. Without positive routines, people often drift into distraction, inconsistency, and emotional chaos. Your morning routine especially matters because it sets the emotional tone for the day. Starting the day with intentional focus, gratitude, learning, exercise, journaling, prayer, meditation, or goal review can strengthen mindset and emotional resilience. Beginning the day with negativity, distraction, or stress often creates mental exhaustion before meaningful work even begins. Empowering routines also help strengthen discipline and focus. Daily habits connected to growth gradually reshape identity. Reading consistently strengthens the mind. Exercise improves emotional and physical energy. Journaling increases self-awareness. Reflection strengthens clarity. Consistent routines create momentum that supports long-term transformation. One powerful exercise for personal growth is creating a habit elimination plan. Identify the habits currently weakening your confidence, focus, discipline, or emotional health. Be honest with yourself. What behaviors are stealing your time, draining your energy, or reinforcing limitation? Once identified, replace destructive habits with healthier alternatives rather than simply trying to eliminate behaviors through willpower alone. The mind responds better when negative patterns are replaced with positive ones. For example, replace mindless scrolling with reading, journaling, exercise, or skill development. Replace complaining with gratitude and solution-focused thinking. Another valuable exercise is conducting a relationship audit. Evaluate the people closest to you honestly. Ask yourself whether your relationships inspire growth, peace, encouragement, and accountability, or whether they create negativity, exhaustion, insecurity, and distraction. This exercise is not about judging others harshly. It is about becoming aware of how relationships influence your mindset and emotional health. Sometimes growth requires creating healthier boundaries, spending less time around toxic influences, or intentionally seeking relationships that support your development. Designing a productive environment is equally important. Your physical surroundings affect your mental state more than many people realize. Cluttered, chaotic, and distracting environments often contribute to mental overwhelm and lack of focus. Organized, intentional spaces encourage clarity, creativity, and productivity. Create environments that support your goals. Remove unnecessary distractions. Surround yourself with reminders of growth, purpose, and discipline. Design spaces that encourage focus and intentional living, rather than emotional escape and procrastination. Protecting your mental environment also means protecting your emotional energy. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your emotional investment. Not every distraction deserves your focus. Mentally strong people learn how to conserve emotional energy for what truly matters. One of the greatest acts of self-respect is refusing to allow toxic influences to control your inner world. You cannot always control what exists around you, but you can control what you repeatedly allow into your mind, heart, and daily routine. Never underestimate the power of environment. A person surrounded by negativity long enough may begin doubting their own greatness. A person immersed in distraction long enough may forget their purpose. A person exposed constantly to fear may stop believing in possibility. But the opposite is also true. A healthy environment can awaken confidence, discipline, creativity, focus, and emotional strength. Positive habits can reshape identity. Empowering relationships can inspire transformation. Intentional routines can create momentum toward extraordinary growth. Your future is too valuable to be surrendered to toxic influences and destructive habits. You were not created to spend your life emotionally exhausted, distracted, discouraged, or trapped in limitation. You were created to grow, evolve, and fulfill your potential. Every decision you make about your environment matters. Every habit matters. Every influence matters. Every relationship matters. Protecting your mindset is not selfish. It is necessary for growth. As you continue this journey of transformation, remember that your environment must align with the future you desire. The life you want cannot fully emerge while surrounded by patterns that continuously weaken your confidence and focus. You have the power to create a new atmosphere around your life. An atmosphere of discipline instead of distraction. Growth instead of stagnation. Possibility instead of negativity. Purpose instead of emotional chaos. Your transformation is not only about changing what happens within you. It is also about changing what surrounds you. The stronger your environment becomes, the stronger your mindset will become. And when your mindset and environment begin working together, instead of against each other, your growth becomes unstoppable. Chapter 7: Building Confidence Through Action. Confidence is earned, not given. Confidence is one of the most desired qualities in human life. People admire confident leaders, confident speakers, confident entrepreneurs, confident creators, and confident individuals who move through life with boldness and self-belief. Many people secretly wish they could wake up one day suddenly filled with unshakable confidence, free from fear, insecurity, hesitation, and self-doubt. But one of the greatest misconceptions about confidence is the belief that it is something people are simply born with. Many assume confident individuals naturally possess a special personality, unique talent, or fearless mindset unavailable to others. This belief causes countless people to remain trapped in insecurity, because they are waiting for confidence to magically appear before taking action. The truth is far more empowering. Confidence is not given. Confidence is earned. It is built gradually through repeated action, experience, growth and perseverance. The people you admire most were not born fearless. They became stronger because they repeatedly acted despite discomfort, uncertainty and fear. Confidence is not a starting point. It is a result. Many people believe they must first feel confident before pursuing goals, speaking up, starting businesses, changing careers, expressing ideas, or taking risks. But confidence rarely comes before action. More often, confidence develops because of action. Every courageous step creates evidence that strengthens self-belief. The mind learns through experience. When you consistently take action and survive challenges, your brain begins gathering proof that you are capable. Each action weakens fear while strengthening trust in yourself. Over time, confidence stops feeling like an act and begins feeling natural because your experiences have reshaped your identity. This is why action creates belief. The human mind responds strongly to evidence. If you repeatedly avoid opportunities, procrastinate, quit easily, or retreat from discomfort, your brain begins associating your identity with fear and limitation. On the other hand, every time you act with courage, discipline, and persistence, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of growth and success. Imagine two individuals facing the same opportunity. One hesitates endlessly, overthinks every possibility, and avoids action because of fear. The other feels nervous too, but chooses to move forward anyway. Which person is more likely to develop confidence over time? The one who acts. Action teaches lessons that thinking alone never can. You can spend years preparing mentally, reading books, watching motivational videos, or imagining success, but until you step into real experiences, true confidence remains underdeveloped. Confidence grows through participation, not observation. Many people remain stuck because they underestimate the power of momentum. Momentum is one of the strongest psychological forces in personal growth. When people begin taking consistent action, even small action, they create emotional energy that fuels further progress. Action creates movement, and movement creates motivation. This is why starting matters so much. The hardest part of growth is often the beginning, because fear and resistance are strongest before movement begins. But once action becomes consistent, momentum gradually takes over. Progress creates excitement. Achievement builds belief. Repetition strengthens confidence. The opposite is also true. Inaction creates emotional heaviness. Procrastination drains motivation. Avoidance increases fear. The longer people delay action, the more intimidating opportunities begin to feel in their minds. Fear grows stronger through hesitation, while confidence grows stronger through movement. Small wins play an incredibly important role in building self-belief. Many people focus only on massive achievements, while ignoring the psychological power of small victories. But the brain responds strongly to progress, even when progress appears minor. Every completed task, every courageous conversation, every disciplined habit, every challenge faced, and every goal accomplished creates evidence that strengthens confidence. Small wins signal to the brain that growth is happening. They reinforce the identity of someone capable of progress and achievement. This is why consistency matters more than occasional intensity. Many people become emotionally inspired for short periods and take massive action briefly, only to lose momentum and return to old patterns. Sustainable growth is rarely built through dramatic bursts of effort alone. It is built through repeated, consistent action over time. A person who writes 1 page every day eventually finishes a book. A person who exercises consistently develops strength gradually. A person who practices communication daily becomes a stronger speaker over time. Small, repeated efforts eventually create extraordinary transformation. Consistency builds trust in yourself. When you repeatedly keep promises to yourself, your confidence naturally increases because you begin seeing yourself as reliable and disciplined. Every time you follow through on commitments, you strengthen self-respect. Many people struggle with confidence because they have spent years breaking promises to themselves. They repeatedly delay goals, abandon routines, avoid challenges, and surrender to excuses. Over time, this damages self-trust. Deep inside, they stop believing they can depend on themselves. The good news is that self-trust can be rebuilt. Every small act of discipline repairs the relationship you have with yourself. Confidence grows when your actions consistently align with your intentions. One major obstacle to action is procrastination. Procrastination is rarely about laziness. More often, it is connected to fear, perfectionism, overwhelm, or self-doubt. Many people delay action because they fear failure, criticism, rejection, or discomfort. The problem is that procrastination creates a painful emotional cycle. Avoiding tasks may temporarily reduce anxiety, but it eventually creates guilt, frustration, and weakened confidence. Each delayed opportunity reinforces the belief that action is difficult or threatening. Overcoming procrastination begins with understanding that action does not require perfection. Many people remain trapped because they wait for ideal conditions before starting. They want complete certainty, flawless preparation, and guaranteed success before taking the first step. But perfection is an illusion. Progress belongs to people willing to take imperfect action. Imperfect action means moving forward despite uncertainty, fear, and incomplete readiness. It means understanding that growth occurs during the process, not before it begins. Every expert was once inexperienced. Every successful person once made mistakes, felt nervous, and lacked confidence. What separated them from others was their willingness to begin anyway. Taking imperfect action is powerful because action itself creates clarity. Many people overthink endlessly because they believe thinking will eliminate uncertainty. In reality, clarity often emerges through movement. Experience teaches lessons that preparation alone never can. The first version of your work may not be perfect. Your first attempt may feel uncomfortable. Your early efforts may contain mistakes. But every action creates learning, and every lesson improves future performance. Perfectionism keeps people trapped in hesitation, while imperfect action creates growth. Accountability systems are also extremely valuable for building confidence and consistency. Human beings often perform better when they create structures that encourage responsibility and follow through. Accountability creates external reinforcement for internal goals. This may involve working with mentors, coaches, accountability partners, supportive communities, or structured routines. When people know they are being held responsible for their actions, they are often more likely to remain consistent. Accountability also strengthens self-awareness. It becomes harder to hide behind excuses when progress is being measured honestly. Successful individuals understand the importance of surrounding themselves with systems and relationships that support discipline and growth. Celebrating progress is another important part of confidence development. Many people constantly focus on what they have not yet achieved, while ignoring how far they have already come. This creates unnecessary discouragement and emotional exhaustion. Growth is a journey. Every step forward deserves acknowledgement. Celebrating progress does not mean becoming complacent or losing ambition. It means recognizing evidence of transformation and allowing those victories to strengthen motivation. When you celebrate small victories, your brain begins associating growth with positive emotional reinforcement. This increases the likelihood of maintaining consistent action. The mind thrives when progress is acknowledged rather than ignored. One powerful exercise for developing confidence is the 30-day action challenge. Choose one meaningful goal or behavior you have been avoiding because of fear, hesitation, or insecurity. Commit to taking consistent action toward it every day for 30 days, regardless of emotional resistance. The purpose of this challenge is not perfection. The purpose is proving to yourself that you are capable of consistency and growth. By the end of 30 days, you will likely discover that the fear once controlling you has weakened significantly, because action has created familiarity and confidence. Another valuable exercise is maintaining a daily achievement log. Every evening, write down the positive actions you completed during the day, no matter how small they may seem. Record moments of discipline, courage, growth, productivity, and progress. This practice trains the brain to focus on evidence of capability rather than limitation. Over time, your self-perception begins shifting because you are consciously reinforcing proof of growth and achievement. Micro-goal strategies are also highly effective for overcoming overwhelm and building momentum. Large goals often feel intimidating because the brain focuses on the entire challenge at once. Breaking goals into smaller, manageable actions reduces emotional resistance and increases follow-through. Instead of focusing only on massive outcomes, focus on the next small step. 1 page written. 1 conversation started. 1 workout completed. 1 application submitted. 1 habit practiced. Small actions repeated consistently eventually produce extraordinary results. Confidence grows through accumulated evidence. Every courageous action becomes proof that you are capable of more than you once believed. Every challenge faced strengthens emotional resilience. Every promise kept builds self-respect. One of the most important truths you must understand is that fear and confidence can exist at the same time. Many people assume confidence means feeling fearless, but this is rarely true. Even highly successful people experience nervousness, uncertainty, and discomfort before important moments. The difference is that confident individuals no longer wait for fear to disappear before taking action. They have trained themselves to move forward despite emotional discomfort, because experience has taught them that growth lies beyond hesitation. You do not become confident by thinking about action endlessly. You become confident by acting repeatedly until courage becomes familiar. The person you desire to become is built through daily behavior, not wishful thinking. Every day presents opportunities to strengthen confidence. Every difficult conversation, every disciplined choice, every risk taken, every uncomfortable step forward contributes to your transformation. Confidence is not built in comfort. It is built in moments where fear exists and you choose movement anyway. There will be days when progress feels slow. There will be moments when self-doubt attempts to return. But remember this: confidence is not destroyed by temporary struggle. It is strengthened through persistence. You are far more capable than your fears have allowed you to believe. The version of yourself you admire, disciplined, courageous, focused, resilient, and confident, is not separate from you. That version is developed through action. The life you desire requires movement. It requires consistency. It requires the willingness to take imperfect action repeatedly, until fear loses its control over your decisions. Do not wait until you feel fully ready. Start where you are. Use what you have. Take the next step. Action creates clarity. Action creates momentum. Action creates confidence. Every step forward matters. Every small victory matters. Every moment of courage matters. Over time, the person who once doubted themselves begins transforming into someone strong, capable, and unstoppable, because they refuse to remain trapped in hesitation. Confidence is earned through experience, discipline, persistence, and action. And the beautiful truth is that every single day gives you another opportunity to build it. Chapter 8: Turning Failure into Fuel for Growth. Using setbacks as stepping stones. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in human life. Many people fear it more than rejection, uncertainty, or discomfort, because they have been conditioned to believe that failure is proof of weakness, inadequacy, or defeat. From an early age, society often teaches people to avoid mistakes, fear embarrassment, and seek perfection. As a result, countless individuals spend their lives playing small, avoiding risks and suppressing their potential simply because they are terrified of failing. Yet the truth is that failure is not the enemy of success. Failure is often the path to it. Every great achievement in history has been shaped by setbacks, disappointments, mistakes, and moments of uncertainty. Behind every inspiring success story lies a hidden journey filled with struggle, rejection, obstacles, and lessons learned through adversity. The people who eventually rise to greatness are not those who never fail. They are those who refuse to let failure define them. One of the most powerful mindset shifts you can develop is learning to reframe failure as feedback. Failure is not a permanent identity. It is information. It reveals what did not work, what needs adjustment, what skills require growth, and where improvement is necessary. Failure is part of the learning process, not evidence that success is impossible. The problem is that many people personalize failure. Instead of saying, "This attempt did not work," they say, "I am a failure." This emotional interpretation destroys confidence and creates fear-based thinking. When people attach their self-worth to outcomes, every setback feels emotionally devastating. But successful individuals think differently. They separate failure from identity. They understand that making mistakes does not diminish their value. A failed attempt is simply part of growth. Every setback contains lessons capable of strengthening wisdom, resilience, strategy, and emotional maturity. Imagine a child learning to walk. No one expects perfection immediately. Falling is considered part of the process. Each failed attempt helps the child develop balance, coordination, and strength. Eventually, walking becomes natural because persistence continued despite repeated falls. The same principle applies throughout life. Growth often requires struggle, experimentation, adjustment, and repeated effort. Yet many adults abandon dreams after a few setbacks because they interpret failure emotionally instead of constructively. One reason failure feels so painful is because of the emotional response attached to it. Disappointment, embarrassment, frustration, shame, and self-doubt often emerge after setbacks. Emotional recovery becomes essential because unresolved emotional pain can create fear of trying again. Many people do not fail once. They fail emotionally thousands of times afterward by replaying the experience repeatedly in their minds. They relive embarrassment, criticize themselves harshly, and allow negative thoughts to dominate their identity. Over time, fear of future failure becomes stronger than the desire for growth. This emotional paralysis is dangerous because it prevents movement. People stop taking risks, stop believing in themselves, and stop pursuing opportunities because they want to avoid experiencing pain again. Yet avoiding failure also means avoiding growth, learning, and transformation. Emotional recovery begins with self-compassion and perspective. You must learn how to speak to yourself with wisdom during difficult moments, instead of attacking yourself emotionally. A setback does not erase your potential. A mistake does not cancel your future. A delayed result does not mean your journey is over. Every successful person has experienced moments where progress seemed impossible. Businesses have failed before succeeding. Athletes have lost before winning championships. Writers have been rejected before publishing best-selling books. Leaders have faced criticism before inspiring millions. Failure is not unusual. It is part of every meaningful journey. One of the most important skills you can develop is learning from mistakes instead of being destroyed by them. Every setback carries lessons hidden within it. Sometimes failure reveals weaknesses that need improvement. Sometimes it exposes poor planning, lack of preparation, unhealthy habits, or ineffective strategies. Other times, failure simply teaches patience, humility, and resilience. People who refuse to examine their mistakes often repeat them. But those who reflect honestly gain wisdom that strengthens future performance. Failure becomes valuable when it produces growth. This is why emotionally mature individuals ask different questions after setbacks. Instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" they ask, "What can this experience teach me?" Instead of focusing only on pain, they search for insight, growth, and opportunity within adversity. Persistence is what transforms failure into eventual success. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they stop too soon. Temporary setbacks convince them to abandon goals before growth fully develops. They expect immediate results and become discouraged when progress feels slow or difficult. But greatness requires endurance. Success often belongs to people willing to continue long after others have surrendered. Persistence creates opportunities for improvement, adaptation, and breakthrough. Without persistence, even talented individuals remain limited by short-term emotional reactions. Resilience is the emotional strength that allows people to recover and continue moving forward after adversity. Resilient individuals are not emotionally unaffected by challenges. They simply refuse to stay defeated permanently. They allow themselves to feel disappointment without allowing disappointment to define their future. Resilience grows through experience. Every challenge you survive strengthens your emotional capacity. Every setback overcome reminds you that you are stronger than you once believed. This is why adversity, although painful, often becomes one of life's greatest teachers. Many famous success stories were born directly from failure. Countless entrepreneurs faced repeated rejection before building successful companies. Many artists, athletes, and leaders were initially criticized, ignored, or underestimated before eventually achieving greatness. Some of the world's most admired individuals experienced devastating setbacks long before achieving recognition. What made them extraordinary was not perfection but persistence. They continued learning, adapting, improving, and believing despite difficulties. These stories matter because they remind us that failure is not unusual. Struggle is part of the human experience. Every person pursuing meaningful goals will encounter obstacles. The difference lies in interpretation. Some people allow failure to become a stopping point. Others use it as fuel for growth. Emotional intelligence becomes especially important during adversity. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, manage, and respond to emotions constructively. During difficult moments, emotionally intelligent individuals avoid making permanent decisions based on temporary emotional pain. Many people react impulsively after setbacks. They quit immediately, criticize themselves harshly, or emotionally withdraw from opportunities. But emotionally mature individuals pause, reflect, and process experiences thoughtfully. They understand that emotional reactions are temporary, while long-term growth requires patience and perspective. Managing emotions during adversity also means refusing to allow shame to dominate your identity. Shame convinces people they are fundamentally flawed because of mistakes or failures. It whispers lies such as, "You will never succeed, you are not capable," or "You always ruin everything." These thoughts are destructive because they transform temporary setbacks into permanent conclusions about identity. You must reject this mindset completely. Failure may reveal areas needing growth, but it does not diminish your worth or your ability to succeed in the future. Adapting strategies without quitting is another critical lesson in turning failure into growth. Persistence does not mean repeating ineffective behaviors endlessly. Wise persistence involves learning, adjusting, improving, and trying again with greater understanding. Sometimes goals remain correct while strategies need refinement. A setback may reveal that timing, preparation, communication, habits, or methods require adjustment. Successful individuals remain flexible enough to adapt while staying committed to their vision. Rigid thinking often creates unnecessary defeat. People become emotionally attached to one specific path and interpret obstacles as total failure instead of opportunities to pivot and improve. But many breakthroughs occur only after people adjust their strategies while maintaining persistence. This is why humility matters during growth. Pride resists correction and avoids self-examination. Humility allows people to learn, evolve, and improve continuously. The willingness to adapt is a strength, not a weakness. One powerful exercise for overcoming fear of failure is completing a failure reflection worksheet. Reflect honestly on past setbacks that continue influencing your mindset. Identify what happened, how you responded emotionally, what lessons emerged, and how the experience ultimately contributed to your growth. This process helps transform painful memories into sources of wisdom rather than emotional prisons. Often, people discover that experiences they once viewed as devastating failures actually strengthened qualities they now value deeply. Another valuable practice is maintaining a lessons learned journal. Whenever setbacks occur, write down the insights gained from the experience. Focus intentionally on growth instead of emotional defeat. Ask yourself what skills, awareness, habits, or perspectives can improve because of this challenge. Over time, this practice trains your mind to approach adversity with curiosity and resilience rather than hopelessness. The brain begins associating setbacks with learning instead of emotional collapse. Resilience-building practices are also essential for long-term success. Physical health, positive routines, supportive relationships, emotional reflection, mindfulness, exercise, journaling, and personal development all strengthen emotional resilience. Strong resilience allows people to recover more quickly from adversity and maintain momentum during difficult seasons. Never forget that failure is temporary unless you decide to stop trying completely. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen immediately after moments when people felt like giving up. Persistence creates possibilities that fear and quitting can never produce. The journey toward success is rarely smooth or predictable. There will be disappointments, delays, mistakes, and moments where progress feels invisible. But those moments are not signs to surrender. They are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more prepared for future success. You must stop seeing failure as proof that you are incapable. Failure is evidence that you are trying, growing, stretching, and pursuing something meaningful. People who never fail often never attempt anything courageous enough to challenge them. The strongest individuals are not those who avoid adversity. They are those who rise repeatedly, after adversity attempts to break them. Every setback survived becomes proof of resilience. Every lesson learned becomes part of your future wisdom. You are not defined by your worst moment. You are not permanently limited by mistakes. Your future is not destroyed because of temporary disappointment. Growth is still possible. Success is still possible. Transformation is still possible. Failure only becomes final when people stop learning, stop adapting, and stop believing in their ability to continue. As long as you are willing to rise again, improvement remains possible. There is strength being developed within you during difficult seasons. There is wisdom emerging through struggle. There is resilience forming every time you refuse to surrender. The challenges you face today may eventually become the very experiences that prepare you for your greatest achievements tomorrow. One day, the setbacks that once caused tears, frustration, and discouragement may become the stories that inspire others. One day, the failure you feared may become the foundation upon which your confidence, wisdom, and success were built. Do not fear failure. Fear the possibility of allowing fear to stop you from becoming who you were meant to be. Every setback can become a stepping stone if you choose growth over defeat. Every obstacle can become preparation if you remain persistent. Every mistake can become wisdom if you are willing to learn. Your journey is not over because you stumbled. It is only over if you refuse to rise again. And within you is the strength to rise, adapt, persist, and continue moving forward until the life you once dreamed about becomes reality. Chapter 9: Creating a Vision for Extraordinary Achievement. Designing the future you want. Every great achievement begins with vision. Before a building is constructed, there is a blueprint. Before a journey begins, there is a destination. Before transformation becomes visible in reality, it first exists within the imagination of someone courageous enough to believe in a future greater than their present circumstances. Vision is one of the most powerful forces in human life because it gives direction to effort, meaning to sacrifice, and energy to persistence. Without vision, people drift through life reacting to circumstances instead of intentionally creating their future. They move from day to day without clarity, purpose, or long-term direction. As a result, they often feel frustrated, unfulfilled, and disconnected from their true potential. But when a person develops a compelling vision for their future, everything begins to change. Their mindset sharpens. Their decisions become more intentional. Their habits gain purpose. Their motivation deepens because they are no longer merely surviving day by day. They are building something meaningful. One of the greatest tragedies in life is not failure. It is living without vision. Many people settle into routines that no longer inspire them because they have lost connection with possibility. They stop dreaming boldly. They stop imagining growth. They stop believing their future can become greater than their present. Yet deep within every human being exists the desire for meaning, purpose, growth, and contribution. People were not created simply to exist. They were created to become. Vision awakens this process. It reminds people that their current situation does not have to define their final destination. Clarity is essential for extraordinary achievement because unclear goals produce inconsistent action. Many people say they want success, happiness, confidence, or financial freedom, but they have never clearly defined what those words actually mean for their lives. Vague desires create weak motivation because the mind lacks a specific target. Successful individuals think clearly about the future they want to create. They define their goals intentionally and connect those goals to a deeper sense of purpose. Clarity transforms dreams into direction. Imagine attempting to travel somewhere without knowing the destination. You may move constantly, but your movement lacks focus. This is how many people live. They stay busy, but their actions are disconnected from meaningful vision. They work hard, but feel emotionally lost because they have not intentionally designed the future they truly desire. Vision changes that. A clear vision creates emotional energy because it gives the mind something meaningful to pursue. It helps people endure temporary discomfort because they remain connected to long-term purpose. When vision becomes strong enough, distractions lose power because the future becomes more important than momentary pleasure. Goal setting plays a major role in transforming vision into reality. Goals give structure to dreams. They create measurable direction and help break large ambitions into actionable steps. However, many people approach goal setting incorrectly because they focus only on external achievements while ignoring identity transformation. Traditional goal setting often emphasizes outcomes such as earning more money, losing weight, starting a business, or achieving recognition. While these goals can be valuable, they become much more powerful when connected to identity. This is where the difference between SMART goals and identity goals becomes important. SMART goals focus on creating objectives that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. These goals provide structure and clarity, which can increase productivity and focus. However, identity goals go deeper because they focus on the type of person you are becoming during the process. For example, someone may set a SMART goal to exercise 4 times per week. But an identity goal says, "I am becoming a disciplined and healthy person." Someone may set a financial target, but an identity goal says, "I am becoming financially wise, responsible, and abundant." Identity goals matter because long-term transformation depends more on identity than temporary motivation. Sustainable success occurs when behaviors align with how people see themselves. If someone continues identifying as lazy, fearful, undisciplined, or incapable, they will struggle to maintain progress even when they achieve temporary success. This is why creating a compelling future identity is so important. You must begin visualizing the person you are becoming, not just the results you want to achieve. Extraordinary achievement begins internally, long before it appears externally. Ask yourself who you truly want to become. What qualities define the highest version of yourself? How does this person think, speak, behave, and respond to adversity? What habits do they practice daily? What values guide their decisions? How do they treat others and themselves? The clearer this future identity becomes in your mind, the easier it becomes to align your daily actions with long-term growth. Your future identity becomes a guide for present decisions. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools for strengthening vision and future focus. The mind responds strongly to emotionally vivid mental imagery. When you consistently visualize your goals, achievements, and future identity, you strengthen emotional connection to your vision. Visualization works because the brain often responds to imagined experiences, similarly to real experiences. This mental rehearsal helps build familiarity, confidence, and emotional commitment. Many highly successful individuals use visualization to prepare mentally for opportunities, challenges, and future success. However, visualization is most effective when combined with action. Imagining success without taking action creates fantasy rather than transformation. But when visualization and consistent effort work together, the mind begins aligning emotionally and behaviorally with the future being created. Spend time regularly imagining your future life in detail. See yourself succeeding, growing, overcoming challenges, and living with purpose. Imagine the emotions associated with confidence, achievement, contribution, peace, and fulfillment. Allow yourself to emotionally connect with the future you desire. This emotional connection matters because motivation is deeply connected to meaning. People remain committed to goals longer when those goals carry emotional significance. Superficial goals often lose power quickly because they are disconnected from deeper purpose. Purpose-driven thinking transforms ordinary effort into meaningful pursuit. When people understand why their goals matter, they become more resilient during difficult moments. Purpose gives strength during adversity because it reminds individuals that their struggles are connected to something larger than temporary discomfort. Many people lose motivation because they chase goals that do not truly align with their values or desires. They pursue approval, status, or comparison-driven ambitions instead of authentic purpose. Eventually, these goals feel emotionally empty because they are disconnected from deeper meaning. True vision comes from alignment between your values, passions, strengths, and purpose. It reflects who you genuinely desire to become and the impact you want to create in the world. When vision aligns with purpose, motivation becomes far more sustainable. Legacy thinking is another powerful aspect of extraordinary achievement. Legacy thinking involves looking beyond immediate gratification and considering the long-term impact of your life choices and contributions. It shifts focus from temporary comfort to meaningful influence. Many people live only for short-term survival or pleasure. But extraordinary individuals think about the difference they want to make. They ask themselves how they want to be remembered. They think about the lives they want to impact, the example they want to set, and the values they want to leave behind. Legacy thinking creates depth and responsibility. It reminds people that their lives carry significance beyond temporary emotions or circumstances. Every action, habit, and decision contributes to the story they are writing with their lives. When you begin thinking in terms of legacy, distractions lose some of their power. Temporary comfort becomes less important than long-term fulfillment and contribution. You begin making decisions not only for who you are today, but for the future you are intentionally creating. One powerful exercise for strengthening vision is creating a vision board. A vision board is a visual representation of your goals, dreams, values, and future identity. It helps keep your vision emotionally present and mentally active. Include images, words, quotes, and symbols representing the life you desire to create. The purpose of a vision board is not magical thinking. Its purpose is focus. What you repeatedly see and emotionally connect with influences your mindset and behavior. A strong visual reminder of your future can help strengthen motivation and clarity daily. Another important exercise involves creating 1-year, 5-year, and 10-year plans for your life. Think intentionally about where you want to grow emotionally, financially, spiritually, physically, professionally, and relationally. Imagine the type of life you truly desire, instead of simply accepting whatever circumstances happen automatically. Many people never give themselves permission to dream beyond their current reality. But extraordinary futures are often created by individuals willing to envision possibilities larger than their present limitations. The purpose statement exercise is also deeply transformative. Write a personal statement describing why your life matters, what values guide you, and the impact you want to make. Clarify what drives you, emotionally and spiritually. This statement becomes a foundation during difficult seasons when motivation feels weak. Purpose strengthens endurance because it reminds you why persistence matters. People who lack purpose often quit when challenges appear because discomfort feels meaningless. But purpose-driven individuals endure adversity differently because they remain connected to something greater than temporary emotion. One of the greatest truths you must understand is that your future will not improve accidentally. Extraordinary achievement requires intentional design. If you do not create a vision for your life, circumstances, distractions, and external influences will shape it for you. Vision gives you ownership of your future. It allows you to move from reactive living to intentional living. Instead of merely responding to life, you begin creating it consciously. Do not allow past failures, fears, or limitations to convince you that extraordinary achievement is impossible for you. Your current reality does not determine your ultimate potential. Many remarkable lives began in seasons of uncertainty, struggle, and limitation. What changed everything was vision. Vision creates hope. It awakens possibility. It gives people the courage to endure present discomfort because they believe in future transformation. Without vision, people often surrender to their circumstances. With vision, they develop the strength to rise beyond them. There is power in seeing a future greater than your present condition. There is power in believing you can grow beyond your fears, limitations, and past mistakes. There is power in intentionally becoming the person your future requires. The future you desire will not appear instantly. It will be built day by day through consistent thoughts, actions, habits, and decisions aligned with your vision. Every disciplined choice matters. Every courageous action matters. Every moment of persistence matters. Your vision must become stronger than your excuses. Your purpose must become greater than your fear. Your future must become more important than temporary comfort. Never underestimate the impact of a clear, compelling vision. Entire lives change when people stop drifting and start designing their future intentionally. Confidence increases because direction becomes clear. Motivation deepens because purpose becomes meaningful. Persistence strengthens because the destination matters deeply. You were not created to live without direction, purpose, or meaning. There is greatness within you waiting to be developed, expressed, and shared with the world. But greatness requires vision. It requires the courage to imagine more for your life than what currently exists. The extraordinary future you desire begins with a decision to see beyond limitation and believe in possibility again. Your future identity is waiting for you. Your purpose is calling you forward. Your vision is inviting you to rise beyond fear, mediocrity, and distraction. Design your future intentionally. Dream boldly. Think deeply. Act consistently. And never forget that the life you repeatedly envision and pursue with discipline and faith can eventually become your reality. Chapter 10: Becoming Mentally Unstoppable. Living Beyond Limitation. There comes a moment in every transformation journey when a person realizes they are no longer the same individual they once were. The fears that once controlled them no longer hold the same power. The doubts that once silenced them begin losing their authority. The limitations that once seemed permanent start collapsing under the weight of new beliefs, stronger habits, deeper resilience, and purposeful action. This is the moment where true mental transformation begins to take root. Becoming mentally unstoppable is not about becoming perfect. It is not about living without challenges, emotions, setbacks, or uncertainty. It is about developing the internal strength to continue growing, adapting, and moving forward regardless of circumstances. It is about building a mindset so grounded in purpose, resilience, and self-belief that temporary obstacles no longer have the power to stop your progress permanently. Mental strength is not built in one breakthrough moment. It is developed daily through repeated choices, disciplined habits, emotional growth, and consistent self-awareness. The person who becomes unstoppable is not necessarily the most talented or naturally gifted. Often, they are simply the person who refuses to surrender to limitation. Long-term transformation requires maintenance. Many people experience temporary motivation, but fail to sustain growth because they stop practicing the habits that created change in the first place. They become emotionally inspired for a season, make progress briefly, and then slowly drift back into old patterns because they stop protecting and strengthening their mindset consistently. Transformation is not an event. It is a lifestyle. Just as physical fitness requires ongoing care, mental strength also requires daily attention. The mind is constantly being influenced by experiences, emotions, relationships, environments, and habits. Without intentional maintenance, old patterns can quietly return. This is why mentally strong individuals develop daily rituals that reinforce growth, focus, and emotional stability. They understand that small, consistent practices shape long-term identity. They do not wait for motivation to guide them, because they have built systems that support their mindset regardless of emotional fluctuations. Daily mindset rituals are essential because they create emotional grounding. The way you begin and end your day influences your thoughts, energy, focus, and emotional resilience. Successful individuals often protect their mornings intentionally because they understand that the mind is especially impressionable during the early hours of the day. Instead of immediately exposing themselves to stress, distraction, negativity, or comparison, mentally strong people often begin their day with intentional habits such as reflection, journaling, prayer, meditation, exercise, reading, gratitude, affirmations, visualization, or goal review. These practices help align the mind with purpose and positivity before external pressures begin demanding attention. Morning routines are powerful because they establish emotional direction. When you start the day intentionally, you strengthen focus and self-control. You remind yourself who you are becoming and what truly matters. Evening routines are equally important because they help process the day emotionally and mentally. Reflection allows you to evaluate growth, recognize progress, learn from mistakes, and release unnecessary emotional weight. Mentally resilient individuals do not carry every frustration or setback into the next day. They learn, adjust, and continue moving forward. Long-term transformation also requires continuous personal growth. One of the greatest dangers in life is becoming mentally stagnant. Growth stops when people believe they already know enough, have already achieved enough, or no longer need improvement. Mentally unstoppable individuals remain lifelong learners. They continuously seek wisdom, knowledge, new perspectives, and personal development. They understand that growth is endless because human potential is constantly expandable. The world changes constantly. Challenges evolve. Opportunities shift. New situations require new skills and deeper understanding. Individuals committed to growth remain adaptable because they continue developing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually throughout life. Continuous growth also prevents complacency. Many people achieve small levels of success and gradually lose discipline because comfort becomes their priority again. But mentally strong individuals understand that growth is not something to pursue temporarily. It becomes part of who they are. They become addicted to improvement, not from insecurity but from purpose. They recognize that life always offers another level of wisdom, strength, contribution, and potential waiting to be discovered. Mastering emotional resilience becomes increasingly important as life evolves. No matter how much personal growth occurs, challenges will continue appearing. Loss, disappointment, uncertainty, criticism, unexpected change, and emotional pain are unavoidable parts of the human experience. The difference is that mentally unstoppable people no longer collapse emotionally every time adversity appears. They develop the ability to remain grounded during storms. They understand that emotions are temporary, while purpose remains constant. Emotional resilience is built through repeated recovery. Every challenge survived strengthens confidence in your ability to endure future difficulties. Every obstacle overcome reminds you that you are stronger than fear, stronger than disappointment, and stronger than temporary setbacks. Mentally resilient individuals do not interpret hardship as evidence that life is against them. They understand that adversity often carries hidden opportunities for growth, wisdom, and transformation. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "How can this experience strengthen me?" This shift in perspective changes everything. Challenges stop becoming emotional prisons and start becoming training grounds for greater strength. Adaptability is another critical trait of mentally unstoppable individuals. Life is unpredictable. Circumstances change. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. Plans sometimes fail. Uncertainty is unavoidable. Many people suffer emotionally because they become rigid in their expectations. They resist change instead of adapting to it. When life moves differently than planned, they become overwhelmed, discouraged, or emotionally defeated. Mentally strong people learn how to remain flexible without losing direction. They understand that setbacks may require strategy adjustments, but not abandonment of purpose. They adapt, learn, pivot, and continue moving forward. Adaptability creates freedom because it allows individuals to navigate uncertainty without losing emotional stability. The ability to adjust while remaining committed to growth is one of the most powerful strengths a person can develop. Building a lifelong success philosophy is essential for sustaining transformation over time. A success philosophy is the collection of beliefs, values, principles, and perspectives that guide your decisions and behavior consistently. Without a strong internal philosophy, people often become controlled by circumstances, emotions, or external opinions. But mentally unstoppable individuals develop clear principles that anchor them regardless of external conditions. Their philosophy may include beliefs such as personal responsibility, continuous growth, resilience through adversity, purposeful living, emotional discipline, gratitude, service to others, or unwavering persistence. These principles become the foundation guiding their choices and identity. A strong success philosophy creates stability during uncertainty because it reminds people what they stand for and how they choose to live regardless of temporary emotion. Leadership through mindset also becomes a natural result of transformation. Whether people realize it or not, mindset influences others constantly. Your attitude, discipline, emotional control, resilience, and behavior communicate powerful messages to those around you. People are inspired less by words and more by example. When others see someone overcoming adversity with strength, pursuing goals with discipline, responding to setbacks with resilience, and living with purpose, they become inspired to believe transformation is possible for themselves as well. Mentally unstoppable individuals often become leaders, not because they seek attention, but because their lives demonstrate possibility. Their example gives others permission to rise beyond limitation. This is why personal growth matters beyond individual success. Your transformation has the power to impact your family, friends, community, and future generations. Every barrier you break creates evidence that growth is possible. Every fear you overcome becomes a testimony of resilience. Inspiring others through example is one of the greatest forms of leadership. You never fully know who may gain courage because they witnessed your persistence. Someone may begin believing in themselves because they watched you refuse to quit during difficult seasons. This is why your growth matters deeply. Your decision to rise beyond fear, limitation, and self-doubt has ripple effects extending far beyond your own life. One powerful exercise for maintaining long-term transformation is creating a personal success manifesto. This manifesto becomes a written declaration of the principles, beliefs, values, and commitments guiding your life moving forward. Write clearly about who you are becoming, what you stand for, what habits you will maintain, how you will respond to adversity, and what type of legacy you intend to create. Your manifesto becomes a reminder during difficult moments, when motivation weakens or distractions appear. Morning and evening mindset routines should also become permanent parts of your growth journey. Design intentional practices that strengthen focus, emotional resilience, gratitude, discipline, and purpose consistently. Small daily rituals create powerful long-term results. A long-term growth commitment plan is equally valuable. Growth must become intentional rather than accidental. Define the areas of your life where you remain committed to improving continuously. Set standards for emotional health, learning, relationships, discipline, contribution, and personal development. The purpose of this plan is not perfection. The purpose is intentional evolution. Mentally unstoppable individuals never stop growing, because they understand that human potential is limitless when consistently developed. One of the greatest truths you must remember is that the journey of transformation never truly ends. There will always be new levels of growth waiting for you. New fears to overcome. New strengths to develop. New opportunities to pursue. New wisdom to gain. But the person you have become through this journey is no longer the same person who once felt trapped by limitation. You now understand the power of mindset. You recognize how beliefs shape behavior, how habits shape identity, and how disciplined action creates transformation. You have learned that fear does not have to control your future. You have learned that failure can become fuel for growth. You have learned that confidence is built through action, resilience through adversity, and success through consistent intentional living. Most importantly, you have learned that your mind can become your greatest ally instead of your greatest obstacle. There will still be difficult days. There will still be moments of uncertainty. But mentally unstoppable people do not expect life to become easy. They simply become stronger, wiser, and more prepared to handle whatever life presents. The goal is not to eliminate every challenge. The goal is to become the type of person capable of rising through challenges with courage, resilience, and purpose. You are no longer powerless against negative thinking, fear, self-doubt, or limitation. You now possess the awareness, tools, habits, and mindset necessary to continue building a life defined by growth and achievement. Your future is no longer controlled by your past conditioning. It is shaped by the decisions you make daily moving forward. Every thought matters. Every habit matters. Every action matters. You have the power to continue evolving into someone mentally strong, emotionally resilient, purpose-driven, and unstoppable. Never return to the belief that you are limited by your past, your fears, your mistakes, or your circumstances. Those barriers only maintain power when you continue believing in them. The truth is that you are capable of extraordinary growth. There is strength within you greater than adversity. There is resilience within you stronger than fear. There is purpose within you powerful enough to carry you through uncertainty and challenge. Your life can become an example of transformation. Your mindset can become a source of strength not only for yourself, but for others who need hope and inspiration. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new chapter in your life, a chapter where you stop surviving mentally and start living intentionally, courageously, and purposefully. You are no longer the person trapped by invisible barriers. You are becoming someone mentally unstoppable. Conclusion. Your new life begins with a new mind. Every transformation begins with a decision. A decision to stop accepting limitation as permanent. A decision to stop allowing fear, self-doubt, negative habits, and past failures to control the direction of life. A decision to believe that change is possible, growth is available, and a greater future can still be created regardless of what has happened before. Throughout this journey, you have discovered one powerful truth. Success is created internally before it ever becomes visible externally. The results people achieve in life are deeply connected to the beliefs they hold, the habits they practice, the mindset they cultivate, and the emotional resilience they develop over time. Your mind is the foundation of your future. Everything you consistently think about, believe, repeat, and emotionally reinforce eventually shapes your identity, your actions, and your reality. This is why mental barriers are so dangerous. They quietly limit potential, long before visible failure appears. They convince people to play small, avoid risks, doubt themselves, and settle for less than what they are truly capable of becoming. But now you understand that those barriers are not fixed. They can be challenged. They can be dismantled. They can be replaced with stronger beliefs, healthier habits, greater emotional resilience, and a vision powerful enough to pull you beyond limitation. You have learned how mental barriers develop through childhood conditioning, fear, social influence, emotional pain, and repeated experiences. You now recognize that many of the beliefs once controlling your life were never truly your own. They were inherited, conditioned, reinforced, and repeated until they felt permanent. But awareness creates freedom. The moment you become aware of destructive thought patterns, self-sabotaging habits, toxic influences, and limiting beliefs, you gain the power to change them. You are no longer trapped unconsciously inside mental programming you never chose. You now possess the ability to intentionally reshape your mindset and your future. You have discovered the incredible power of neuroplasticity and mental rewiring. Your brain is not permanently fixed. New thoughts create new pathways. New habits create new identity patterns. New emotional responses create new possibilities. Every intentional action you take begins strengthening the person you are becoming. You have learned that confidence is not something people are born with. It is built through action, discipline, courage, and persistence. Every time you act despite fear, you strengthen self-belief. Every challenge you face becomes evidence that you are stronger than you once imagined. You have also learned that failure is not your enemy. Failure is one of life's greatest teachers when approached with resilience and wisdom. Setbacks do not define your worth or determine your destiny. They become stepping stones when you refuse to stop growing. Most importantly, you have discovered that your future does not belong to your fears, your past mistakes, or your current circumstances. Your future belongs to the person you choose to become, moving forward. This realization changes everything. Too many people spend years waiting for external conditions to improve before believing in themselves. They wait for perfect timing, perfect confidence, perfect opportunities, or perfect certainty before pursuing meaningful goals. But transformation rarely begins under perfect conditions. It begins when ordinary people decide they are no longer willing to remain trapped by limitation. The greatest breakthroughs in life often begin internally, long before anyone else can see them. A person begins thinking differently, speaking differently, responding differently, believing differently. Eventually, those internal changes create external transformation. This is why your mindset matters so deeply. Your thoughts influence your emotions. Your emotions influence your actions. Your actions influence your habits. Your habits shape your identity. And your identity shapes the direction of your life. Everything begins in the mind. There will still be moments of difficulty ahead. There will still be uncertainty, obstacles, setbacks, and emotional challenges, because growth is a lifelong journey. But now you understand something powerful: challenges no longer have to control you. You are becoming mentally stronger, more resilient, more intentional, more disciplined, more aware of your potential. The fears that once stopped you no longer deserve authority over your future. You now possess tools to overcome negative thinking, build confidence, strengthen discipline, protect your mental environment, and continue growing consistently. The person who once doubted themselves is evolving into someone capable of creating meaningful change. Do not underestimate how powerful this transformation can become over time. Small daily changes eventually create extraordinary results. A single new belief can change the direction of an entire life. One courageous decision can open doors that fear kept closed for years. One disciplined habit repeated consistently can completely reshape identity. The future you desire is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built through repeated intentional choices. Every day presents another opportunity to think differently, act differently, and move closer toward the person you are meant to become. You must now make a decision about who you will be moving forward. Will you continue allowing old fears and limiting beliefs to define your future? Or will you finally step into the identity of someone committed to growth, resilience, courage, and achievement? This is your moment to choose differently. Commit to one bold action immediately. Do something your fear has been convincing you to avoid. Make the call. Start the project. Apply for the opportunity. Begin the habit. Speak up. Take the risk. Move forward despite uncertainty. Action is the bridge between possibility and transformation. Replace one limiting belief permanently. Identify the thought that has been holding you back most powerfully, and challenge it intentionally. Refuse to continue repeating mental lies that weaken your confidence and potential. Begin replacing limitation with empowering truth. If you have spent years believing you are not capable enough, start reinforcing the belief that growth is possible through effort and persistence. If fear has convinced you that failure defines you, begin reminding yourself that setbacks are opportunities for learning and growth. If insecurity has been controlling your decisions, begin practicing courage daily, until confidence strengthens naturally through action. Your identity can change. You are not permanently trapped by your past thinking patterns. You are not limited by old emotional conditioning. You are not doomed to repeat destructive cycles forever. Transformation remains possible, as long as you are willing to continue growing intentionally. Step into a new identity, built around growth and achievement. Begin seeing yourself differently. Speak to yourself differently. Carry yourself differently. Make decisions aligned with the future you desire, instead of the fears you are leaving behind. The version of yourself you admire most is not unreachable. That version is created through consistent mindset transformation, emotional resilience, disciplined habits, and courageous action over time. You already possess potential greater than you currently realize. There is strength within you waiting to be developed. There is purpose within you waiting to be expressed. There is greatness within you waiting for permission to rise. Do not spend the rest of your life underestimating yourself. Do not allow temporary fear to steal permanent opportunities. Do not allow old mental barriers to keep controlling the future you are capable of creating. You are capable of far more than your past experiences may have convinced you to believe. Human beings are remarkably adaptable, resilient, and powerful when they commit themselves fully to growth. Entire lives can change when people stop surrendering to limitation and start developing the mindset required for transformation. The journey ahead will require discipline. It will require consistency. It will require emotional strength during difficult moments. But you are no longer approaching life with the same mindset you once had. You now understand that growth is possible, resilience can be developed, and success begins internally. Every challenge you overcome moving forward will strengthen you further. Every courageous action will increase confidence. Every disciplined habit will reinforce your new identity. Every moment of persistence will move you closer toward the life you are capable of creating. This is not merely the end of a book. It is the beginning of a new chapter in your life. A chapter where you stop seeing yourself as powerless. A chapter where you stop allowing fear to make your decisions. A chapter where you stop shrinking your dreams because of self-doubt. A chapter where you begin living intentionally, courageously, and purposefully. Remember this truth always: success is not reserved for a select few. It becomes possible the moment a person decides to break the mental barriers that once defined them. And that moment can begin right now. Thank you for reading this book. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to leave us a review. TM Light. Disclaimer. This book was created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. While every effort was made to ensure the accuracy and relevance of the content, readers should note that this cannot be considered professional advice. Readers are encouraged to apply their own judgment and consult experts where needed.